Grassroots Gazette, from the ground up, where football lives and breathes. Join us as we explore the heart of the game. This is Grassroots Gazette, from the ground up.
Football enthusiasts, today we are honoured to have the conversation with Ali, a former player who has transitioned into the role of FA Community Champion for women and girls in football. With her experience, dedication and overwhelming commitment to promoting women and girls in football, Ali has embarked on an inspiring journey with the grassroots football community. Join us as we delve into her experiences, the challenges she's encountered, and the impact that she's making as a role as a champion of women and girls in football. Welcome, Ali. Hey, how you doing, Ali? Welcome to Grassroots Gazette.
Yeah. Thank you. What a welcome, Karma. I just saw that intro. I'm gassed.
Very welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, so we're going to get straight into the first block, which is the personal block. So first question is full name, nicknames, and any social medias you want to share with us.
Oh gosh. Okay, so my government name is Alison Caroline Speechley, but I always go by Ali. I'm only ever called Alison if I'm in trouble. So I'm Ali. And then on social media, I just use the handle Coach Ali. So a lot of people in the football world know me as Coach Ali. In terms of my actual handles on different platforms, I've had to use all sorts of different ways of putting underscores in here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, if you look up Coach Ali, you'll be able to find me for sure.
Lovely, excellent. Okay, next one is how old are you and where are you from?
Oh gosh, I am 41 years of age, and I am from Lewisham in Southeast London.
South Londoner.
Yeah,
lovely.
represent.
Okay. Who do you currently coach for, and where are they based? Are you coaching?
Right so now? I'm not coaching right now. I stopped coaching in October 2022. I just decided to take a little break out because I'd done it for the best part of a decade, alongside a full-time job. So I just needed a little breather. But so I'm not coaching an actual team at the moment. But what it gives me the lovely opportunity to do is go and do different like tournaments and festivals and different sort of football social events. So that's kind of my connection to the coaching world at the moment, obviously, as well as my role with the FA as community champion, which I guess we'll probably come on to.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, most of this is going to be about your coaching. So is it all right to you just dig
for sure, for sure.
Lovely. Okay, so who or what motivated you to start coaching football?
It's a funny one because I never kind of set out with this really clear intention that I wanted to be a football coach. I kind of almost fell into it kind of by accident, but I was playing football at the time for a Sunday league team, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was called Clapham Kicks. And while I was doing that, the amateur FA and London FA were trying to support the FA into getting more women into coaching. So they offered every women's team in that league 2 free places to go on a level 1, what was then the level 1, what's now Introduction to Coaching Football. And no one in my club really wanted to do it. And I was just like, you know what, it's free. Like, may as well.
Yeah, might as well go and see.
And also, I will be honest, by that point, so at that point, I was probably around 31, and I was like marking 18-year-olds on a Sunday. And I was like, I don't know how long I'll play like this for. So maybe coaching might be a nice sort of space to take up in the game. So yeah, I kind of just went along to see what it was about. And then it was just a bit of a crazy journey from there ever since, really. But in terms of who motivated me to do it, if anything, it was probably like my 7-year-old self who never had the opportunity to play girls football, as it were, when I was a child. Like, I would always play with the boys and I was happy to play with the boys, but at that time I wasn't allowed to play in any official teams because they wouldn't let you play sort of mixed gender. So yeah, it was probably the little me that motivated me to do it.
Cool. I think you answered it within that question, but where or who did you train with? Because I know like there's different sectors of the FA. So who did you train with exactly?
To become a coach?
Yeah.
So that was so it was the English FA, but it was London FA that I did my coaching badges with. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, lovely. All right. You already answered this one as well. I think it's 10 years. How long have you been working as a coach or worked as a coach? Was it 10 years?
Yeah, so it was kind of it was probably, if we're being precise, it was probably around 8.5 years.
Okay.
But it's 10 years in the game, as it were, this month actually,
Nice.
in terms of
Congratulations.
thank you. Let's have a party. In terms of starting that coaching journey and then also evolving it into what I do now, which is probably more coach development, coach education.
Lovely. Excellent. Okay. Do you have any experiences coaching any other sports?
That's a good question. No, I don't actually, except for sometimes when you do a little bit of multi-sport, like some of the academies I've worked in as a football coach, we would do kind of multi-sports a bit.
Okay.
So I have done a little bit of futsal, and kind of basketball and things like that, but not in any. I
Not
wouldn't
that,
lay
yeah.
claim. I haven't got any qualifications. Wouldn't lay claim to it as an official coach. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next one is which football coach, if there is one, most influence your shaping style as a coach?
See, that's a really interesting question actually, because I grew up watching men play football, coach football, talk about football. um and so if anything, really, I think back to those managers, and being influenced, like even someone like Terry Venables, rest in peace, like,
Oh,
like those, that kind of, like the England coaches that coached the national team. Obviously I'm a Tottenham fan, which I know we might come on
it's all
to.
right. Don't worry. Safe space. Safe
it's
space.
all it's all friends here. It's all friends here. So yeah, like Tottenham managers as well. Like I guess in more recent times, like Pochettino. Like I know Chelsea fans at the moment will have mixed
Yeah.
views on him, but what he did work miracles at Spurs, and
You
and
did.
I rate him as a kind of people person. Um, so I think, yeah, if anything, I was probably more heavily influenced by men in the game, because that was what I was exposed to, as it were. But obviously, I feel like as a woman, it's difficult to have a conversation without giving a shout out to someone like Emma Hayes, because she paved the way in so many respects, and
Mhm.
I'm actually excited to see her, what she does with the US
The
national
US
team.
saying, yeah.
And also because she's actually a Tottenham Hotspur fan, and not a lot of people,
I
not a
didn't
lot of
know
people
that.
know that. And so
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to monitoring Emma. I'm going to monitor your social media once you've left Chelsea, because I want to see the shift.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, see, I never knew that because I knew that she was an assistant at Arsenal and then she went to Chelsea. Oh, she's got a little London thing going on right
Yeah.
there.
So yeah.
That's
Um,
crazy. All right,
but
cool. Next question, probably a little bit easier, is when you was coaching, what club was your dream club to coach for, and would it be Spurs? Because I know you're a Spurs supporter. Would that
yeah,
have been the dream destination?
yeah. So I did actually coach at Tottenham Hotspur. So
Bang.
I coached there in their girls pathway when it was they were still trying to establish it. It looked quite different to how it looks now.
Right.
Um, and I also did a bit of coaching with Spurs Foundation just before we went into lockdown, actually.
Wow. Okay.
And I would encourage all football coaches, actually, at some point. I mean, I say this to all coaches: like try and coach in as many different environments as you can, because then you'll learn loads about yourself as a coach, but it'll help you work out where you want to be as a coach and what type of environments sort of get the best out of you. But what I would say is always try and give foundation, like the sort of charitable arms that a lot of Premier League clubs have. Always try and work for a foundation of a club at some point, because I coached anything from like 5-year-old girls that had never kicked a football before, through to like teenage college boys, through to 65-year-old women who had waited their whole life to play walking football, because
Right.
that was their first exposure to football because of their generation. And I literally coached everything in between as well. So
Nice.
yeah, so I never thought when I started coaching I'm going to coach for Tottenham Hotspur, but I did actually do it. So
That's nice. That's excellent. Look at that. Yeah. All right. Next question. As a coach, do you have a pre-game ritual or any superstitions?
oh, I don't think I have any superstitions as such. Like I don't have like I've got to put this boot on, or I've got to have
Yeah.
this coaching book, or
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't really
All
have
that.
any superstitions as such. I think for me, like it's just trying to have a positive mindset, and trying to. I try to be quite calm as a coach because I know what it's like to be on the pitch, and it gets quite frantic on the pitch, and so I feel like on the touchline, I just my players know that I care, and that I'm going to help them when they need help. But I'm not one to like rant and rave on the touchline. So I think the pre-match is probably just about finding that kind of zen within myself.
Yeah.
So I need to keep,
Cool everything down. Yeah, I
yeah,
understand. That makes sense. What would you say was your coaching philosophy if you had one?
yeah. So my coaching philosophy, or my approach to coaching, was kind of based around three key pillars, that I kind of try and do in my professional life anyway, away from coaching football as well, and that's engage, educate, and empower. And it was really just about, for me, football coaching is about teaching people
Hmm.
how to do something, and in order to teach them, I've got to reach them first. And so that means I need to engage with them. And I coached a lot of different types of people and players in my career. And it was a really great experience. And I was very privileged to have that experience of really flexing that muscle, as it were, of trying to work out how to engage with different groups and different individuals, and the best way to reach them as people so that I could influence them positively as footballers. And then obviously the empowerment part is twofold. It's about empowering them, because as I say, when it comes to game day and they're on the pitch and they're playing that game, it's kind of like my talking was all done during training, right?
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is your time to shine. Um, but so it's about empowering them to do it for themselves. But also football coaching really empowered me, not just when I was coaching, but as an individual, like in my private life and in my professional life outside of sport.
Nice.
So yeah, empowerment was always a big part of it as well.
I like that. That's great. Okay, next one is, so you have niche coaches and you have all rounders. Which do you believe is best for the team, and which would you say you was?
Ooh, niche as in like position specific,
Yeah,
or
like in the Premier League, they got like free kick specialists, they got
yeah,
the
goalkeeper.
goalkeepers, they
Yeah,
get,
yeah.
but then like lower down, they don't have the money to have all
Yeah,
these.
you gotta
You
you
know what I
gotta
mean?
be all
So
of it.
yeah, you gotta be the all rounder. But if like it was optional for grassroots to have that, do you think that is better or the all rounder is better? And obviously, what do you think you was?
So I would say when I was doing community um, coaching, I had to be an all rounder, as you say, because
Yeah.
the money and the facilities are the resources aren't there to be anything else. But when I worked in academies, so I coached in Mill Lionesses and also Chelsea Women's Academy. And when I was in those environments, especially somewhere like Chelsea, and it pains me as a Spurs fan to say it, but the facilities at Cobham are unreal, and that includes the
Ridiculous.
resources. So we had two goalkeeper coaches for our age group, not just one, but two. Um, so, and then we had specialist physios and a team doctor, and like it was a
Yeah,
madness.
every
So
detail is covered in it. Yeah.
right. And then like when the girls started their periods, and then we had like this menstrual cycle specialist, and
Jeez. Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
and that's why I say that's why I pay homage to Emma, because she created that pathway and she created those amazing facilities and resources for not just for the women's first team, but for the whole girls academy. Um, so I think if money's not an object, yes, I'm all for expertise, because I say this in my career as well as in my football life. Like I don't know it all, and I've never professed to know it all. And
That's
I
right.
love surrounding myself by like with experts, because I want to be a sponge and I want to try and learn. But I'm also happy to hand over to the experts as well and go like, you do your thing with these players.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a cop out answer, but yeah, I feel like in an ideal world, get
Yeah.
get the experts in.
Get the experts in. Fair enough. Fair enough. Lovely. Next one is, what do you think makes a good coach or a great coach even? What do you think makes one?
I think it's a few different skill sets, but I think up there for me, one of the biggest ones has to be empathy and being able to understand different types of people, because you know, we always say that, like, people first, like, yes, they are footballers, and yes, they want to win, because I want to win too. We all want to win. And I think anyone who tells you different in sport isn't being completely
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I'm talking even like 6-year-olds, like, you know, in football in the park, they still want to win, and they'll
Everyone
let
wants
you
to win.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know, I think one of the lessons I learned really quickly as a coach early on was, if you're doing some kind of, you set up a practice and you're doing some kind of competition where you've said, oh, you're going to get 3 points for if you do this and
Yeah.
5 points. Don't create that foolishness for yourself, because they will come up to you and they'll be like, well, I've got 18 points because I did this, and you haven't been tracking it in your head. So yeah, I think so. Yes, we want to win, but I think for me, it's always been really important about how we win. And for me, that's about having that empathy with your players to understand that they haven't just arrived at your football session as some sort of football robot. They've arrived as a person. They've brought their day with them, their week,
Right.
their year, their life with them. So I think that's the key skill for me.
Cool. I like that. All right. This one here is a bit of a promotion one. If you can, could you give me a shout? Could you shout out 1 to 3 coaches that you think should have some more light on them? Like coaches you know.
Oh gosh, oh my god, the pressure. And then when people watch this as well, they're like, hey, you didn't
You
say
didn't
me.
mention me.
Oh my god, I'm actually sweating. First and foremost, I'm gonna go with my partner in crime, my podcast co-host, but also she does the work with me in London for the community champion work, which is Steph Fairbairn. And I hope I said her surname right, because everyone always gets her surname wrong. She's a brilliant coach. She's coaching at Girls United at the moment, which is an amazing setup, grassroots initiative for girls in South London. Oh my god, the pressure of this.
My
Like,
bad.
you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to visualize my Instagram. I'm like, you know what though? Actually, saying Girls United has made me think of Abby, surname Ingram, I want to say. Sorry, Abby, if I got that wrong. But she's a powerhouse as well.
Lovely.
And
One more.
then taking it, you know what? Taking it, and because I've said powerhouse, this is how my brain works, right?
No, it's going. Yeah.
Taking it up a notch a little bit in terms of exposure, because actually these two women get their exposure because they're all over Sky Sports. But again, they put in the hard work to get there, and they've paved the way, particularly for South Asians in football, because my dad's Indian.
Right.
So Molly and Rosie Kamita, the Kamita twins, like, respect to them. Everything they're doing with the Powerhouse project is unreal. And I wish that they'd have designed that when I was
When you was,
going through,
yeah.
yeah, because amazing. And then lastly, sorry, I do have another
No,
one.
go on.
Is Sabia Jamal. She, I met her when I was coaching at Goals for Girls, and she's working with England now, amazingly, and also West Ham. But she's a brilliant coach.
Excellent. Okay.
Sorry, anyone that I missed. I love you. I love you all.
She loves you all, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right. Last 2 questions. This one here, I was on your IG. So this one here is, can we have a crep check right now?
Oh
Or if you're
no.
not wearing any, can you tell me about your favorite pair or anything
Yeah,
like
because
that?
you know what? I'm actually not in crepes at all right now. I'm on my sofa at home, guys. Can I say? So my most recent pair that I bought, actually, I can tell you about those because they are some Jordans, and they're like that vintage effect, and they're kind of like beige and cream,
So
high
lovely.
tops.
Are you officially a sneakerhead? Because I'm not. I just like what I like, but I know
Yeah, I don't.
it's a whole world over there for
Yeah,
sneakers.
I don't know that I'm officially a sneakerhead. I think I'm probably similar to you. I
Okay,
like what I
you just
like,
like
and
what you like.
they're my babies. That's what I always say to people. These are my babies, and
Cool,
I
cool.
yeah, that's my actual shoe collection. I've got some heels, but it's my crepes that is my
It's
shoe
your
collection.
crepes. That's the one. All right, cool. All right. Last question in this block is: what does football mean to you?
Football is love.
Football is
It's as
love.
simple as that. Football is love. It's a global love, right? It's the most common language. Like, you can play football with anyone. You don't even need to speak the same language, because the ball speaks, like, does the talking, right? So
Facts.
yeah, football is love. I love the way it brings people together. I know obviously there's some fierce rivalries and stuff, but ultimately, I think it's a beautiful game, and I think it also has, the reason I say it's love as well is because I genuinely believe in its ability to kind of create wider social change as well. And I think we are starting to see that like different individuals trying to harness the power of that. And I think it's brilliant.
Lovely. Excellent. All right. We're going to take a little break and we're going to come back to play Would You Rather? Yes. Would You Rather? Here we go.
Is an app for grassroots footballers that allows players to track their performance, improve their game and compete with others in the community.
Galacticos app. Download today. Please check out galacticos.com for more developments. Don't forget to network with us. Help us grow.
Okay, so I've got 16 of these. So how I do them is you can just pick an answer and we move on to the next. If it's a difficult one for you and you want to explain yourself, you can. Or if you want to skip it because it's too hard, we can do that too. Yeah?
Okay, I'm nervous.
Here we go. I think I know where you're going with the first one, but let's see anyway. So we got Emma Hayes or Poch.
Oh, I'll go Poch.
You go Poch. Oh, I didn't think he was going to go. Okay, here we go. This is going to be good. Defoe or Sheringham?
Oh, Defoe.
Defoe.
But that is difficult as well. But Defoe. Defoe's my boy. Come on.
Defoe. Okay, cool. All right. Original R9 or CR7?
Oh, original.
Original. Lovely. Academy football or grassroots?
Grassroots.
Grassroots.
There's no academy football without grassroots.
There you go. You know what? Because I asked a player that I wasn't sure where the cutoff point is for where does grassroots stop? Let me ask you that quickly. Where does it stop? Is it once you get to like the first team? Is it there?
It doesn't. But I think also it that might vary across boys and girls. I feel like it might. I think there might be maybe a bit stricter in that in the boys. I'm not sure though, but I know I've certainly coached like under 12s who have still gone and played, like it's certainly like county football and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's more about like managing the body, right? So not wanting to get those overload injuries and things like that. But what I mean is like no one starts playing football in an academy. No one does. Yeah. Everyone starts in grassroots.
Outside. Yeah, everyone starts outside. All right, cool. So next one is main football media, Sky Sports, TNT, or YouTubers.
Oh.
/ podcasters.
I guess it depends what content you want, but I do like. Let's shout out the YouTubers. They're working hard, right?
There you go. Lovely. All right. Next up, keep VAR or get rid.
Oh. When it goes for you, it's great. You know what? I'm a purist, and I say get rid because it swings and roundabouts in football. Some decisions go for you, some go against you. And I think we've tried to make it too much of an exact science.
Okay, cool. Number 7 is Chelsea win the title and Tottenham win the Champions League, or both win nothing.
Oh my gosh. You're interesting because you put Chelsea in there instead of Arsenal.
Yeah. I thought, let me take myself out of it because I don't even understand you guys' rivalry, to be honest with you, but I know you have one.
I feel like everyone hates Tottenham. I don't even know why, but so wait, Chelsea to win the title and us to win the Champions League, or both of us win nothing?
Both win nothing.
I mean, let's be real, Chelsea ain't close to winning anything these days. If we're talking Premier League, obviously, as opposed to WSL, in Premier League, I'd rather win the title.
You'd rather win the title, and let them win the Champions League?
Yeah, I'd take that.
Okay, so switch it around. Okay, I should have switched it around anyway.
Because when you win the title, I feel like the title's better anyway because it means you've come first. But when you win the title, then you can still try for Champions League next season, right? So
yes, you can. Excellent. All right, next up, Spurs captains. You going with Gary Mabbott or Ledley King?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go Ledley.
You're gonna go Ledley
because I've met Ledley, and he is the purest soul I've ever met in football. Nice. He's the nicest guy. So yeah, Ledley King.
Going with Ledley. Lovely. Okay. Back-to-back titles or one Champions League?
Back-to-back titles.
Yeah, back-to-back titles.
Because anyone can win it once. Leicester.
Leicester, Blackburn.
but sustaining greatness I respect that. Yeah. Let's not talk about any clubs that have done that. But I do but I do respect it.
All right, cool. Next up, we got travel to coach football or travel to watch football.
Oh, travel to watch it, because anytime I travel to coach it was a stress. Mainly because I was like, what's the parking situation?
That's the key one. Where's the parking?
But travel to watch, I wouldn't drive anyway. So
Okay,
travel
cool.
to watch, that's more fun.
Lovely. Okay, be a coach at the World Cup final or be a coach at the Champions League final.
Ooh. I think World Cup final, just because you know what I was saying about like how football unites, and it's a proper festival, the World Cup.
Yeah, it is.
The vibes would be like, don't get me wrong, like Champions League is that's a good event.
Yeah.
But the World Cup final, that's
like the pinnacle, isn't it? Really.
Exactly.
All right. Lovely. Here we go. Get a call from, well, you've done this already, so I don't even know. I'll say get a call from Spurs or get a call from England for a coaching job.
Oh, yeah. So maybe then England now, right?
Okay.
I can start checking things off my
list.
list.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Here we go. This is going to be a test. Here we go. Well, I think it will be. Be an average coach with a good reputation or be an elite coach with rumors of cheating. Nothing proven.
Oh.
It's just rumors, just internet talk.
Yeah, but I feel like when you reach a certain stage, that comes with the that's why the A license, like the pro license is mostly, which I don't have obviously, but the pro license is mostly around media management. Like,
okay,
you know how to coach football by the time you've got there. Right?
Yeah.
Around how you manage all of the stuff that comes with coaching at that level. So what was it? Sorry, it was
be an average coach with good reputation,
squeaky clean,
or elite and rumors of cheating.
So when we say elite, we just mean, like, do we mean you're a better coach than?
Yeah, so like we can call all the managers in the Premier League are like good managers, but like the ones at the bottom, just doing okay.
Yeah.
They're the average coach, but then you got Pep and all them guys. So Pep accused of cheating, not himself, but the club.
Yeah. So I think, to be honest, I would probably go elite. But if there's rumors, there's rumors, because, like I said, when you reach a certain level, there's haters gonna hate, and there's always going to be someone trying to tear you down. But if it means that you have almost become an expert in what you do, then I'm always striving to kind of learn as much as I can. Not be the best, as in I don't need to be better than anyone else, but I need to be the best me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd probably go that one.
Cool. All right, we've got two more. Excuse me. All right, so you're 2-0 down at half time. Second half, do you shut up shop or do you throw everything at it?
You're 2-0 down?
Yeah.
What type of competition?
It's a league. Yeah, league. No, it's a league game. Yeah. It's a league game.
Well, obviously, I'm a child of Ange Postecoglou now, so
high line,
we're gonna keep going, man. We'll risk and reward football, right? So we will risk losing 3-4 to try and get 2 back. So yeah, I'd probably I'd still try. I think I'd just send more players out there to try. I don't like shut up shop football. It goes against my DNA.
Your beliefs, your love of the game. All right, cool. All right, we got one more in this block. Sunday morning on the sidelines or Sunday morning doing your podcast?
Oh, that's a tricky one because I don't really coach anymore. But I feel like that one would depend what mood I was in on that day, to be honest.
Okay.
And also, no, you know what? I'm not even going to lie. You know the one deciding factor in that? The weather. If it's raining, I'm doing my podcast.
Cool. So we'll base it off if it's a rainy day, podcast. All right, cool. Lovely. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about your experience. Here we go.
World where passion meets the pitch. This is Grassroots Gazette. From the ground up, uncovering football's true spirit.
Okay, so first question is, in your view, is there any difference, and what is the difference, if there is, between coaching men and coaching women?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So in my career, I did predominantly coach females and non-binary people. So I don't have extensive experience of coaching boys and men. In fact, if anything, really, I don't think I ever coached men. I think I only ever coached
Boys and
boys.
teens.
Yeah, at like little. I used to do these like school holiday camps and things like that. I used to do that for Spurs, and I coached some boys in Spain actually in 2019. That was really fun. But I would say there are some. Is there differences?
Yeah, is there?
Yeah,
What's the to you, in your view, is there
yeah.
the
In
differences between
my
coaching them?
opinion, I think girls listen, and girls for me want to do it right. So they listen very carefully. Not all of them, but on the whole, they
In
listen very
general,
carefully to the instructions, and then they will ask you questions. And if you're not careful as a coach of girls, because I mean like young girls as well,
yeah,
because I think there's a difference between girls and women as well. But anyway, if you're not careful, you can stand there all night trying to explain your set, because they'll be like, and then what if this happens? But what if she goes there? And we're like, okay, so let's go and play. Let's go do it, and then we'll see, won't we? We'll find out. Otherwise, they'll just. So, whereas boys, you haven't even finished getting out the equipment. They're off.
they're gone.
They're on the ball around. They're like setting up their own little practice. They're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, girls are a bit more like attentive in terms of when you're trying to describe.
Yeah, because I interviewed a referee and she told me that there was a study saying that women need, it's not that they don't understand, but they need a longer explanation of what they're doing. And I was like, I didn't even know that. She's like, yeah, there was a study into it. So like even referees have to
So
break it
you
down
know
a little
what?
bit. And I was like, oh, okay. Didn't think that
Yeah.
was a thing.
You know what? Not to deep it too much, but I think it's to do with how we're socialized, and I think girls are socialized to basically conform and to sort of be quiet and be neat
Yeah.
and do as they're told. And boys are this more sort of like rough and tumble, like get stuck in.
Yeah.
And so I think what it is with girls and women is that they don't want to get it wrong because they think they equate that to then getting in trouble. And that's what I think it comes down to. But
Cool.
I'm not a professional psychologist, so
Just the coach's view. I
don't
appreciate
quote me.
it. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Next question. If you can remember this, tell me about your first session as a coach. How did it go?
Oh, wow. Let's try and think. So my first session as a coach would have been in a primary school playground. And I'm talking like gravel, like concrete.
Hard, yeah.
With some sort of one of those where it's got like basketball hoops at both ends, and then any which pitch markings like
Yeah,
from
yeah.
multi-sport
Everything.
in like multiple colors. So when you look down at the ground, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
In like a cage, it was like caged around like blue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Southeast London
exactly.
style, where all the ballers are born. And I can't even begin to remember what the practice would have been, what the topic would have been. But I know that it would have been a whole roller coaster of emotions. I'd have probably been terrified.
Yep.
I'd have been excited. It would have felt like, because my first coaching session was in Lewisham, and that's where I'm from. And I know that I would have just stood back and been like, oh my gosh, to the 7-year-old me, to be like this is what, this is what you would have given everything for.
Yeah.
A girls only football session that you were allowed to come to and you were allowed to participate in. So yeah, that's a proper trip down memory lane, that.
Nice. Okay. Tell me about, we're going to do both ways, but tell me about your best day that you can remember coaching football. Your best day.
Oh, wow. That's hard because there's a lot. Like I said,
all coming to you now.
Well, I just experienced so many different environments that
Right.
it's almost like there's a best way from each environment, right? But if I had to pick one, oh my goodness.
I'm glad that you've had so many.
I think one of them would have been when I coached in Spain, which was in 2019. It was just for 2 weeks. It was like a little kind of holiday. It wasn't a holiday for me,
He was working.
but I coached, and it was mainly boys but there were a couple of girls there as well. And it was the most beautiful it's in a place called it's near a place called Tarragona, and it's sort of about an hour out from Barcelona.
Okay.
But we drive into the mountains, and there's so it's got this amazing backdrop, and then they were experiencing a heat wave at the time as well.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, this is beautiful, but also, am I going to die?
Yeah, both extremes right there. This is beautiful, but am I going to die?
Because it was hot. But I just remember standing back and thinking, look what you did. You went from being told at 10 years old, you're not allowed to play because you're a girl, to this whole career coaching, to the point where you've been hand selected and invited out to Spain. Nice. to coach football. So I think, that's a really it's a really nice memory, but it's I don't often dwell on moments where I feel proud of myself, but I remember in that moment thinking, you are allowed to give yourself this moment.
Yeah, pat on the back for that one.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're gonna go the opposite way. Tell me about your worst day coaching football, unless you've blocked it out.
Yeah. It's like proper therapy. My worst day coaching football. I don't know. I mean, I've had some horrific experiences in football, but not actually while I was coaching, as it were. So I think my worst sort of experience coaching football, to be honest, it was probably just any time where I just felt like I hadn't really done myself justice as a football coach. Okay. Sort of whether I was tired or I was hungry or something, and I'd kind of you try and keep your peace, and you try and kind of keep it going with these kids. But as all parents, I'm not a parent, but as all parents will tell you, sometimes they just work your last nerve.
Oh yeah.
You're just but in those moments, I always felt bad afterwards. I'd never lose my rag with them or anything like that. But when you just sort of feel like you probably could have been a bit more compassionate, or you couldn't have been. So I don't know that I have it's not when we lost the league by 1 point or whatever.
Yeah,
it's not really that vibe. It's just, if I ever felt like I didn't live up to my standards that I set myself.
Cool. Fair enough. All right. Next question, number 5. Are there any misconceptions about being a football coach? I.e., they just show up on game day, or it's an easy job. They must have a real job on the side. Is that you hear those things? Is there any more that you hear?
I think one of the misconceptions around football coaching is the pay.
Okay.
Because especially when you coach for a recognized club and people see you in a tracksuit and they make assumptions, and you're like, okay.
Think what you want.
So, and that's why I always say to coaches, choose your environments carefully, because it's the same for players. Players are going to thrive in the environments that they feel sort of challenged in a healthy way, but also supported in those challenges. And it's the same for football coaches. You are going to thrive in environments where, yes, there's a good amount of challenge, because otherwise you just get bored, right, if it's too easy. But you still need to feel kind of supported and respected and all of that. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions is probably around pay.
Cool. Lovely. All right. Next up, we got, what's the best piece of advice that you've received about coaching?
Someone said to me a long time ago, and actually it's not, they said it to me because of coaching, but you can apply it to anything.
Right.
They said, never compromise your personal quality because of the environment that you may be in.
Okay.
So it's you have your own standards, right? Mm-hmm. And just because someone else might be doing football tennis every session because they
Don't
can,
be,
because no
yeah.
one's checking. That
Yeah.
doesn't, like, if you're there and you're trying to develop yourself as a coach, but you're also trying to develop these players, like, don't compromise on that quality and those standards just because this environment might not be checking in on you, or
Right.
that kind of
I get you. It's the integrity thing.
yeah.
Do what you would do if people were watching or not watching, type thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, definitely. Okay, next up we got team building. How important is it, and what is your favorite team building activity when you was a coach?
Oh, yeah. Team building is essential, isn't it? Because football's a team sport, right?
Yeah.
And I think especially with kids as well, because you know, and but you know, there's a balance with that. Like sometimes you do just have to give them a ball each because they need to get that out of their system.
Yeah.
But I think team building, I think for me, the most important team building probably takes place off the pitch, right? Because then that's how you build that team ethos on it. So I think team building, it obviously looks different depending on the age groups you're coaching.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that's really nice actually around women's recreational football in this country at the moment, is that there's such a brilliant culture off the pitch, like around like social events and getting everyone to feel part of that team. And being able to like laugh at each other in a nice way, in a safe way. And so I know lots of teams that do like they do like player of the match, but then they also do like Muppet or like whatever, you know, like and all that kind of camaraderie. I think that's important. So yeah, any team building stuff, like whatever they want to do, if they want to go bowling or they want to like whatever it is they want to do, but just getting them to recognize each other as people as well, right? Not just footballers.
Is that something that a coach takes part in, or you just leave that up to the players to go and do? Or is it like, right, guys, we're going bowling or we're going paintballing? Is it the coach, or do you think like leave it up to the captain type thing?
So again, I think it depends on age. But if say we're talking about adults, say we're talking about adult players, I think it's important to have like healthy boundaries with your, like, I know, like, so let's take WhatsApp for example, because that, like, all those group chats and stuff, I think it's really important for players to have their own group chat that the coach and the manager and anyone else is not involved in. And then maybe you have a separate one with just the captains, or there's a whole separate one that is literally everyone, including you.
Right.
But I think, yeah, like it would depend on the team building activity and exercise. But I would want that to be led by the captains, as it were, in terms of they can consult their players whether they would want me there or not. And I wouldn't take it personally. Like I wouldn't take it any which way if they were like, no, we want to do this without her. Unless I felt like there was like a mutiny on the card.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, oh my gosh. But hopefully not.
Cool. Excellent answer. Lovely. Next up, we got describe a time when one of your players wasn't putting in as much effort in training as everybody else. How did you resolve this?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, because there's always one, right? Like,
it's like, yeah, which do you want me to go with? Yeah,
like, example. But let's go teenage girls though, because teenage girls are a law unto themselves, and actually, that they were always my favorite age group to coach.
Okay.
Because there's so much going on for them, and I think that's where the empathy that really has to
because you know exactly, you know what they're dealing with.
You have to be like, you know what, Ali, do you remember the mess that was you when you were 13? Okay, so let's not judge too quickly. But so yeah, I remember one time when I coached this amazing baller. I'm not going to name her because I don't want to embarrass her, but she's still a baller today. And I remember just like there were times where. And the joke is as well, she was actually playing upper year. Like that's how good she was. She was playing up an age group anyway. And but like there were times when I guess old school people would call it an attitude problem. But I always just used to take her to one side and just reason with her, really. And also like be like, how are you? Like, how was school? What, like I said, what are you bringing to this session that is maybe making you behave in that way? Because sometimes people just need to speak on that and get that out and be like, oh, it's just, well, this teacher said this to me. And then actually, once they've shaken that off, they're fine.
You're fine
So
again.
yeah, so I think in terms of behavior management, as it were, I'm always just trying to speak to that individual, because also if they hold the social capital in that group, that could be beyond disruptive to the
Yeah, yeah,
session. So
yeah,
you do really have to like nail that early, because otherwise the session's done.
yeah.
But yeah.
See, okay, yeah, no, okay, fair enough. Next one is, where do you stand on this statement? Coaches shouldn't have favorite players.
Oh, I think coaches need to be smart about who their favorites are and how they
How to express that.
do or do not give that away.
Right.
Because we're all human beings, right? And it is human nature to favor someone over someone else. Like
Yeah,
if you try to shut that off within yourself, that's a losing battle.
yeah,
So I think it's like acknowledge that it's there. That's fine. But do you need to be obvious about it? Probably not.
probably
Probably
not.
not.
Yeah, see, and even as you're talking now, I'm thinking you can answer this. Do you think it would be okay to have a favorite football player, but not a favorite person? Because the football player is part of the team, right? They're going to help the team win. But if you have a favorite person, that doesn't mean that they're actually good for the team. You just like them because you like them. That shouldn't be. That's the one that should be. That should be out of here.
I still think even if I understand what you're saying. I think if you're expressing favoritism of any kind, though, I still think that can have damaging consequences.
Right.
So I still think the same rules apply. Like, just try and be smart about how or if
It's
you
coming out
express
and everything.
that. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, we've got 3 more left in this block. Next question is, what's the most challenging situation you faced as a coach?
Oh gosh. I would say, whilst I was actively coaching, probably like sometimes just a sort of what felt at times like the kind of relentless misogyny, if I'm honest, like just the kind of like the sexism and the kind of just being ignored. Like I was ignored quite a lot. Like you'd go to match day and you're kitted out. Like you are obviously part of that team. You're obviously an adult as well. Like if you're coaching 11-year-olds, like, as much as it's nice when people are like, oh, you don't look your age. Like, well, I don't look 11, do I? So I'm clearly the adult here. And I think there were times where like literally like the opposition coach or whatever would just breeze right past me to like fist bump the guy coach that I was with and all of that she must be the physio, like all of it's just bored. Like I'm bored even expressing it because
I can see it, yeah.
Right, but it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. So if that happened once, you'd be like, all right, whatever, that's just
him. Yeah.
Right. But when it happens like consistently, after a while you're like, am I invisible? Like,
can you see me?
Like, did I actually die of heat stroke in Spain?
It's not a dream. Lovely.
So yeah, like I think that's probably, and then I guess linked to that, like when I was going through my coaching badges, like I had one experience in particular was devastating to me, and that was linked to kind of misogyny and sexism. So I think, yeah, I guess asking a woman like what some of the toughest moments in football are, like sometimes, unfortunately, still in 2024, it was just being a woman in football.
Right. Dang. Yeah, it's hard, man. All right, next one. This is about fair play. So what's your take on fair play? As in, what does it mean, and how did you ensure your players embodied it?
Oh, that's a good question.
So we'll stick with the teen girls again.
Yeah. Let's go.
Ain't gonna do nothing.
So I think first and foremost, it starts in-house. Like even in our training sessions, like it needs to be fair in the sense that like there needs to be. I think it's about respect. So like respecting yourself, respecting each other's, and respecting what we're all here to try to achieve. And I think the way you make things fair is by listening, and because sometimes people think they've been done a disservice, or some sort of unkind behavior or whatever, but actually maybe they've misunderstood it or whatever. So I think you achieve fairness by listening and then communicating really clearly so that everyone understands, I guess, what the rules are, but why those rules are in place. And then I think when you've got that in-house, that makes match day easier, because then if someone kind of acts out on a match day, as it were, towards an official or towards an opposition player, you just bring them back to remind them about this is that's not how we do it. That's not, that's not our behaviors. Because I think that's one of the hardest things with players as well, is that they're very reactive to their environments. And so when you know them, those opposition teams where you're like, oh, I've got to play them, because they're just like, why are you even here? Like, why are you just trying to hospitalize everyone? Like, that's not, you're not even playing
football. Yeah, you're not even playing.
Like, you're supposed to be kicking the ball. So, but sometimes, like, the adrenaline's going, like, everyone's competitive, everyone wants to win. So yeah, I think that's when it's hard to manage fairness. And also sometimes, right, like, referees don't always get it right, especially, I mean, I'm thinking back to some, like, respect to referees, because I would not do it. It's so
Crazy
hard.
Job. Yeah, crazy.
It's so hard. But you get them grassroots referees that just like centre circle refs.
I've been hearing about them. Yeah, I've been hearing about them.
Running. They're just the perimeter, like the circumference. They're just like circling that. And so they don't always make the best decisions or the right decisions. But like teaching, like the way I used to try and get around that in coaching. And I did it at a little festival the other day, actually. And the look on this girl's face, I was like, same. Was that, like, sometimes I would purposely, like, who that ball's come off, and I'd give it the other way. But just to be like, and when they look at you, I'm like, do you watch football on TV? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, does the ref always get it right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, but do the players have to deal with it and get on with it? Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. And I think it's important to, like, let them get their rage out about that in training, like almost purposefully annoy them, right?
Yeah, no.
So that when it comes to match day, they're not screaming their heads off at the ref, and then you're incurring a fine or whatever.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, no, I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Cool. All right, last question in this block it's a scenario. I don't know if you've been in this, so let's see. You're at a game and the opposition coach is taunting you from across the field, or maybe from the side of you. What did you do, or how did you sort that out?
You know what? Just the example came to me immediately.
Straight away. There we go.
And it involved me having to hold back little me. Yeah, I'm trying to reach 5'6", but I'm not really there. Like, I'm 5'5" something.
I like that.
I'm climbing. But I'm a grown woman now, as we established at the beginning of this episode. So I'm not going to get there. If anything, it's just going to go downhill, right? So I'm 5'5" something. I'm not like this to my friend. I'm not a physical force. Yeah, I can hold my own, but I'm not a physical force. But me had to restrain my co-coach, who was like 6 foot something, grown man, and to be like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Leave it. Because the opposition coach had pushed all of his buttons. And I think it was like a bit historic as well. I think they had previous beef that I wasn't aware of. We're just trying to coach these girls, and I'm just like, oh my God. I think that's always the funniest thing to me, though, like when you're just in a park somewhere on a Sunday and people are losing their minds. And I'm like, guys, like,
in a park. Yeah, no, I know. It's crazy. I can't even explain it myself. I don't think I'd be like that for a kid's game, but if there's adults around, I'd have to put my hands up and be like, yeah, once that whistle goes, we in it like we're in the Premier League game. Like, this is war now. Yeah, it's like,
no, right, and that's the thing, like, I think I actually always preferred coaching children over coaching adults. And I think, to be honest, that's part of the reason why, because with children, I always feel like everyone tries to be a little bit less of an idiot because they're conscious that children are sponges and But when it's just all adults, it feels like actually you've lot have turned into the kids, right? Like, I've had to hold parents back before. Like at the end of a coaching set, like, it's a training night. It's not even a match.
Wow.
And they're the parents of the children, like, in the same set. Their children are teammates. And it's 2 mums as well. It's not even dads. Don't get it twisted, yeah?
Everyone's in it.
And I'm like, women.
You see?
And I remember saying to them, like, I don't get paid for this. Like, I'm here to coach your children, and if there's beef with them on the training pitch, I'm more than happy to resolve that. But this is between you two. Like, take it out there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Look, you see?
Jokes.
Life. All right, cool. Lovely. That's the end of that block. We're going to come back, talk about you as a player, and we're going to talk about the Women of the Lane supporters group. Let's do it.
To the beating heart of the game. Join us on Grassroots Gazette, from the ground up, where football thrives.
Okay, so I've got about 17 questions here. So it's halfway through, and then we switch topics. So the first half is you as a player. What do you believe is the most important thing for a player to know when choosing a club? I.e., because I've got down here like wage, weather, size of club, but I think that's more Premier League. So grassroots level, what do you think is important for a player to know before? Yeah, I'm a join.
I guess it's just about that environment, right? And it's a tricky question because I think it's hard to know that sometimes until you're in it.
Exactly, yeah.
But I guess it's about if you're lucky enough to know anyone that already plays in that club, like get their honest intake, like their honest take on how they felt about it and how they feel about it. But yeah, I guess at grassroots level, it's a bit like when parents are trying to choose schools for their kids, right? It's a bit like, well, what one feels
the right one, yeah.
And also, don't be afraid to if it's really not for you, because we say, don't we, if a flower doesn't bloom, you don't fix the flower, you fix the environment. And so if it's not working for you for whatever reason, like don't give up straight away, because sometimes sometimes we're just our own barrier, right? Yeah. Sometimes we need to just get over ourselves and then everything's fine. But if it's really not working for you at that club, don't be afraid to like tell someone that and see if you can go and play somewhere else.
Cool. Lovely. All right. Kind of already dipped into this, but I'm going to read the question anyway. So sexism. Have you had to deal with any sexism as a player? If so, can you tell me about it and how it was dealt with?
Yes. So I didn't play like organized football for very long, but when I did, we used to play on Clapham Common in South London, and it was the off season. Like we were doing because we were serious, even though we weren't. We were like some low level, like second division. We were Sunday league, but we used to call it seriously sociable football, right? So like we were serious about what we did on the pitch, and so we were doing our pre-season. And I don't know if you know Clapham Common, but it is like a hive of activity for like all types of sports, especially in that off season for football, because the pitches aren't marked out,
right,
and the goalposts aren't up.
Yeah, they take
so you've got like touch rugby, you've got ultimate frisbee, you've got people playing football, you've got people attempting to play cricket, you've got like
everything's out, yeah.
You got people sunbathing,
yeah.
You got people walking their dogs. Like it's a madness. And so we'd like me and my women's team had like that I was just playing for at the time. I didn't coach. We'd like carved out this spot in this public space. And I think there were maybe like 10 or 11 of us that had made it that day. Like the squad wasn't massive anyway, it's Sunday league football, right? And we were actually almost coming to the end of our session, but we were still working in that space. And this man came over and was just basically like, you need to move. And we were just like, no, well, we were here
we're
first.
Here. Yeah, we're here.
A park. You haven't rented out. Like, I don't understand if it was like a tennis court or something. You need to rent out the space, but it's like, no, we don't. And he was like, well, I've got 22 men here, and I've got to try and find some space for them to play football. And we were like, well, we're here, so you can either find another space or wait until. And my coach, like, she was like, we won't be long. We'll probably be another like 20 minutes tops, but we're still working in this space, and we were here first. So. And then he, can I swear or no?
Yeah. Express yourself.
This is really bad though. Like,
Go on.
because it's not just, it's a swear word followed by a very derogatory term used for
Okay.
this group of people, right?
Mhm.
He basically, he spat at her and then he called her a fucking dyke. And I promise you this, like, if you ever want to see the lotion come out of me,
Hey!
I was like, you fucking what?
You
And
what?
I was ready to go for him. And then I was that person then where they were like, Ali, it's not worth it.
Yeah, you was getting held back this time.
This is pre-coaching days. This is what
yeah.
I was like, because I was just like, what? Like, how dare he? Yeah, so that and my coach like dealt with it with such grace because I was just like, what? And then anyway, then eventually I think I can't even remember what happened in the end. I think we were all quite upset by that. So I think we did sort of we were just like, it's done now anyway.
Yeah.
But we were like, no, we're gonna hold the space because it's really important to just get to bully me off this park.
Yeah.
But I remember then someone did like they did try and report it to the police and like the local authority. But the online form was a mess. So I don't think anything ever really came of it. But yeah, I think that's probably the worst experience. And that wasn't even directed at me. I think if he'd have actually directed it at me,
You would have got him. You would have got him.
been like, I'm gonna give you a head start.
You get me? Run now.
Go on.
So did you guys use that park again? Did you not go
Yeah,
there?
because that
Oh,
Clapham Common is like that's basically the home ground of
seeing,
most
okay.
women's football teams that play in the south. So yeah, like that was we were there for the rest of pre-season. We were there for the season once the pictures have gone up. Like that's
Oh.
our, you know, when you're like, this
That's
is
not-
our
that's what I was-
house.
Yeah, this is ours.
Like,
What are you talking
you
about?
ain't come here. It's our house.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Still, as a player, how did you personally deal with a loss after a game? I.e., did you just go be by yourself, go hang out with one friend separate from football? What did you do?
I think if I felt like I hadn't played well, because sometimes you can have a game of your life and your team loses, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel if I've ever felt like I hadn't played well personally, I would just go home. Especially as well. Oh my god, if it was an away game, like some of the missions that you go on in grassroots
I
football,
bet missions, isn't it? Crazy.
unreal. So yeah, I'd probably just. I think I just used to go home. I just want to get warm and dry. And then,
Just get out of that. All right, cool.
but yeah, if it was more that the team just lost, but I'd done. I was shining. No, then, you know, again, it depends, but I'd at least try and support anyone who maybe was feeling particularly down about it, because as much as we love it, it is just a game, right? And you need to sometimes you just need to shake yourself out of that feeling.
That's it. Yeah, you just need to shake it off. You know, sometimes some people just be in it in their heads,
in their
at home.
feelings.
Yeah, like god damn. All right, next question. As a player again, so what's the best piece of advice you've received while playing football? So from a coach to you as a player.
Ooh.
Is it calm down, Ali?
It's not worth it, Ali. Leave him. It's like Simpsons give. He's already dead.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I'm presenting I'm a very non-violent person. Can I just? But if you rant with me, no.
South London comes
Yeah,
out.
right. You're making me, because this really is 10 years ago now. So, as a player, the best advice. I mean, probably just to actually believe in myself, because this is the thing, I wasn't coached football until I was 29.
Okay.
So I always used to kick the ball about, and
You used to play, but yeah.
like people who I've met since in football are like, oh, you're a street baller. Because like I would, I could do bits, but I didn't know that I could do bits. And then I didn't know that there were organized teams I could play for, because I never saw it. So yeah, it was so I always came, when I came to football, like when we had that pre-season game, that first summer that I played for Clapham Kicks, that was the first time I had played 11-a-side football in my life.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it was just that it doesn't matter. It was kind of the advice, which is it doesn't matter that you haven't played this in an organized way before. You can play football, so just go and play football.
Just go and play football. Cool. Can't beat that. All right. Tell me about your best day playing grassroots football and your shining games or something.
It was this goal that I scored.
There we go. Talk to me. I know no one never forgets their goals.
So you know what the joke is as well is that I used to play hockey at school.
Okay.
Football wasn't a thing for girls when I went to school, and I would play centre mid. So I was like a little bit of a playmaker,
right?
just spraying balls, you know. But I always knew in football that anytime I had played it like just unorganized, I always knew that I liked scoring goals. And so when my coach, when I joined this team at like 29, 30, my coach was like, "Oh, what position do you play?" And I was like, "Oh." And she was like, "Okay, I'm going to watch you for a bit, and then I'll watch you for a few training sessions." And then she came up to me. It was like week 3 or something. She came up to me. She was like, "Ali, you're a number 10." And I was like, "Okay," because I felt like it still had that kind of playmaker vibe to it, but also when the opportunity came, yeah, I could score. And then she was a coach, but she decided she wanted to be a player coach.
Okay.
And guess what her position was?
Number 10.
Number 10. So I ended up on the left wing as a right-footed player.
Same.
But the opportunity still arose because I used to cut in,
yeah.
So basically there was just this goal this time, absolute top bins. And you know what the joke is, right? So because I hadn't been coached even in how to kick the football and how to get the power in it and all of that stuff. Like I had to learn that as a coach so that I could coach other players.
Okay, yeah.
But I hadn't been taught any of that. So I wouldn't ever say my shots were ever like really powerful, but they were accurate.
Nice.
And this might offend some people, but not all the women goalkeepers are that tall. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there.
I'm glad that you said that. I always said it when I'm watching it, I'm like, top bins, what's going on?
Like, don't get me wrong, the elite ones can get there.
Yeah.
The elite goalkeepers can get there. But
still,
like Sunday League,
seeing that frame in the goal, I'm like, come on.
Yeah. But Sunday League, I'm like, so yeah, there was one goal I scored this time, and it was just like, and it was jokes because it was around the time, like this is all like literally almost 10 years ago. So we didn't really have all the Instagram and the like. It was like you had it, but it wasn't a big.
Well, it is now, yeah.
So it was almost like there was this woman on the team. It was almost like a little newsletter. It was like this little email she used to send out to the team, and she probably wrote a whole story on this goal. You know, she was like bends it like speech thing.
Nice.
So that's a fond memory of mine because I was like, I did have it in my locker. You know, I had it.
I had it. Nice. All right. As usual, we're gonna go the opposite way now. Tell me about the worst day playing football, grassroots.
I can't really remember, to be honest. Probably that's just any time you lost was rubbish, wasn't it? But
yeah, of course.
probably, like in all honesty, probably just those games where you had to go for miles and miles, like public transport vibes. Because I didn't actually learn how to drive until very late. Like it was like 2018 I learned how to drive. And it was only because of coaching. So I was like, so I used to get the train everywhere. And when you got to get like train, tube, bus, and then you lose. You got
then you got to do that whole thing about
So I think, I don't know that I can remember a particular game. I remember one game where only 8 of us were available.
Did you let me see if I can add to it. Any injuries? Are you injury free? Did you come out of it injury free?
Well, it's funny you should say that because I went my whole. It was very short. It was like 3 seasons, but I went my whole career. Absolutely fine. And then was it last summer? Yeah, last September, with some of my work colleagues, we were playing in like a mixed gender like 5-a-side league. Oh my god, this man, right? So he went to shoot Yeah, he went to strike the ball, and I
Yeah.
nicked it, and I moved it, but because it was so quick, he was already like the momentum.
He was
So I
already.
got the full force, the full impact of his strike into the inside of my ankle bone on my right foot.
Oh, that's gonna hurt a little bit.
When
Yeah.
my when my physio said she was like, because she checked all like the ligaments, and she was like, I don't even. She said, I know you're strong, because most people with this injury, that impact on the inside of your ankle would cause you to roll. You'd turn out, like the impact would make you roll, and you do the ligaments, right?
Yeah.
She was like, you've literally planted that foot, and you've gone, yeah. This foot doesn't move. So she said, so the good news is you haven't done your ligaments. She's like, the bad news is this is the most severe bone bruise.
Jesus Christ.
And what that means is you've literally bruised your bone,
Yeah.
so that it is going to take months to heal. But you're not going to get any of the sympathy of having done your ligaments, because you're not going to get a nice little moon boot. You're not gonna, no, everyone's going to forget until you get out that rancid, like all the colours of the rainbow. Like literally, this bruise was real. It was legit. I still sometimes show photos of it to people. Like,
look at that.
so yeah, that was just innocent, five-a-side. Me trying to get back, me being
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like,
now. Let me
I used to play. I coached. Come on. Always the case, isn't it? That one time. Always the case. All right. Same question that we had in one of the other blocks. Any misconceptions about being a female football player, i.e., this game is for men, or can't depend on them because they have their time of the month type things? Anything like that?
I think two of the biggest misconceptions that I faced was the automatic assumption that I was a lesbian, which obviously, like, no issue. Like, to be honest, most of the players on my team were lesbians, but I actually am not. So it was almost like, I don't, like, to be honest, I don't care if people think I am or I'm not, because it's not an issue to me. And if it's an issue to them, that says more about them, right? Like, you take your homophobia over there, fine. But it's that assumption that because I play football, I must be a lesbian. It's like, well, A, why does it matter? But B, like, why? Why is that the assumption? And then the second one was that you can't be like a girly girl and then
play football. Yeah.
get stuck in the mud, right? And so, because I wouldn't go as far as like Ella Toon or whatever, but I did used to like wear makeup.
I wouldn't even say Ella's even that bad. I'd say
No,
Alicia Lehman, like,
oh
she's
yeah,
really,
right,
she's official
I mean,
model on the
but
grass.
I actually love it, because I didn't wear like a full face of makeup, but I would wear makeup, and I'd like paint my nails and all of that. And it's just like, I think it's really important, and I love those players that are just themselves, like, and they're like, yeah, well, I've got my full slashes, and I've got, like, if they want to do that, I think that's great, because what I think is really important for young girls in particular, but actually men and boys to see as well, is that don't make assumptions. Don't judge a book by its cover. Like, you can have your face done and ball out. Do you know what I mean? You can be a really talented sportswoman. And likewise, like, you don't have to look like that. You can also just not wear any makeup. Like, what it is, it's about being comfortable in your own skin, and dressing how you want, and presenting yourself how you want, and being comfortable with that, and still being brilliant at what you do. So yeah, that it was just around the assumption that I was gay, and that I probably wouldn't be that great because I had mascara on.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Last question on that topic is, when you played, what did you look for in a coach? Did you want the arm around the shoulder, or are you good with the passionate screamer?
Yeah, it's funny, because when you were asking me earlier about what influenced me as a coach, like, I think I often used to think about my Sunday league coach, and I think because I'd never played it before in that way, I probably was a bit of a baby at times, and I did need a bit of an arm around the shoulder to be like, you got this, you know, like you can do this. And she wasn't, she's Northern. And so like she's a lovely person, but it just wasn't her vibe. It wasn't her flex.
Right.
And she was like, I learned so much from her, which I didn't realize at the time because I didn't know that I was going to go on to coach. But I learned so much at her, like the way she used to set up a session. I'd be like, damn, like I remember the first time I set up a session, like literally even just trying to put cones out in a straight line. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember being like, she made this look so easy. Like there were parts of her craft that she absolutely excelled at, but I think she was quite like, this was her approach as a coach, and if you needed maybe something a bit different, then you maybe had to look for it from some of the other players or something like that maybe. But yeah, I think I needed, don't shout at me because I'm trying to do my best, okay? And that's one of the main reasons I don't shout at I mean, I don't shout at players anyway, but I'm not going to try and instruct players on the pitch while the ball's rolling.
Okay.
Because the ball's rolling. Why are they going to be listening to me? Like they're already trying to make 12 decisions. Right? So I think it helps to, even if you haven't played at a high level, it does help to have played any sport. You don't have to have played football to coach football, but it does help to have played a sport or to have tried to have done something if someone was trying to shout at you or whatever. Because I think it makes you realize as a coach, like this isn't helpful.
Okay, no, I like that answer. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The ball is rolling; they're not listening to you, right? Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Because I used to think to myself, why are you just sitting down? Like, say something. Like, there's even to that one player right next to you, say something. But what you just said makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. All right, we're gonna go into now the Women of the Lane Supporters Club. So we're going straight in, no break. First question is, when and why did you decide to start or be part of something that's starting this supporters club?
Yeah, so Women of the Lane, thank you so much for asking me about it. We're like, look at my grin because we're so proud of it. So it's Tottenham's first ever official supporters association for women who support the men's team, and that distinction is really important. And we've already got a load of grief about it as well. It's like, well, so you don't support the women's team?
Oh yeah, I got a question for that as well. I got a question for that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I will try not to answer all your questions.
Yeah.
But basically, Chris Powros, who is an absolute powerhouse in football and an agent of change, is how I would describe her.
Nice.
And she founded Proud Lily Whites 10 years ago, which is the Spurs official association, like supports association for LGBTQIA plus community who support Tottenham Hotspur. Men's team, women's team, every team. And we were having a conversation last year, and she was like, I feel like there's something here for trying to make that game day experience as a woman or a non-binary person at a men's game better. Like that experience needs to be better. And also just in general, like trying to support football. If you're watching it in the pub or you're traveling to a game or whatever, can we? And so she was like, so I'd really like to set up this group, and I was wondering if you would want to do it with me. And I was like, she didn't even get the sentence out. I was like, let's go. So we essentially co-founded it, and what we did was we got on board seven, because there's 7 sisters, right? So 7 of us that co-founded it.
Nice.
So we then put our heads together, and we got 5 other women to join us to officially co-found it, and then we essentially took it to the club and went, and they were like, yeah. So it's been months in the making, but we officially launched it earlier this year on International Women's Day, 8th of March, and then we had the Luton, the home.
I know.
Sorry.
I got questions. Don't worry. Yeah, don't worry. I've done a little bit of research.
That's where it came from, and cool. That's essentially what it's about. Is trying to improve that football experience at men's football for women and non-binary people.
Lovely. Okay. Next question is, who are the other founding members of the supporters club? Because I thought there were 6 of you. There was a picture with 6.
Yes.
So, I said 6 of it, but I like the 7 sister thing. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's because, So it's because I can't speak too much on it because it's private. But
Okay.
Mizzy, one of our other, like, our founding sisters, is not very well at the moment, and so unfortunately she couldn't make that photo shoot.
Okay.
But
Okay.
she's one of the 7, right? So she's equally as important as any of us. And it was just a real shame that she couldn't be in it because now
Okay.
it's not in the promo and stuff. So yeah, so it's me, Chris, Mizzy, Bhavna, Hannah, Rachel, and Hamali. And so it's basically 7 women who are all diehard Tottenham Hotspur fans, like lifelong Tottenham Hotspur fans. I think Hamali probably lives the closest to the stadium, but I might be wrong. But we do come from different parts of the city, but we're Tottenham till we die, right? And we grew, like I said earlier, we grew up watching men's football. And it doesn't mean, like, some of us, like, we all support the women's team. Some of us go and watch it, some of us don't. But it's about us saying, how can we make this experience of going to watch the men better?
Yep, fair enough. And that's going to lead to the next question, which is, why not for the women's team? As you know, like, everyone keeps saying, like, even they're saying that men don't really be watching the women's game. The women need to be supporting, and then here comes the newest women's supporters club, and you're backing the men. You're backing the men.
Yeah. No, so I can completely understand that. What it is that when I go as a woman, when I go and watch the men's team play, like all of it from the traveling there to the coming home, like, and everything in between, is a very different experience to when I go and watch the women play.
Fact.
The culture around women's football in this country at the moment is absolutely thriving, and it is amazing. And don't get it twisted, like, there's some rivalries there, and there's and it's real, and like, we're getting all the chants coming now, and it's all good, right? In fact, I was at the Emirates for Arsenal women.
I was there too.
Yeah, and I was with my friend. So my friend, who's an Arsenal fan, had come with me to the Spurs stadium to watch the women.
Okay.
When we beat you 1-0, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, the least I can do is come and sit through whatever this is going to be at the Emirates. And I'm like surrounded by like all these Arsenal fans.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, at no point did I feel unsafe, or do you know what I mean? It's just a completely different experience. And like, can you imagine, because at one point I jokingly went, come on, you Spurs. Like, literally, I'm not even making it up, I was surrounded by gooners, right?
Brave.
Can you even imagine what would happen to me if I did that at a men's game? Right?
I don't even want to know.
Right.
I see videos where people are shouting at kids. I'm like, wow.
And that's the thing. And I wouldn't even do it as a joke, because I value my life.
Yeah, it's not good.
So I guess what we're saying is that we absolutely support the women's team. Like, Chris goes all the time. Chris is like a women's season ticket holder. We absolutely support that team. I'm going this Sunday, actually, well, as we make history by being in the semi-final of the FA Cup for the first time. Like, we are Tottenham Hotspur fans, first and foremost. Right. What we're trying to do is help educate everyone, especially men in many respects, around the misogyny and sexism that exists in the game. So that, for example, I've never ever been to a women's football match, and within moments of me taking my seat, some guy, like middle-aged guy in front of me, turning around and patting me on my knee and saying to me, "You're not going to be any trouble now, are you?" Which is literally what happened to me when I went to the last game of the season at Tottenham last season. I hadn't said, I was there by myself. I hadn't said anything to anyone. I'd literally just gone and sat in my seat, and he turned around and he saw I was a woman. I had a bare leg as well, and he touched my bare knee and was like, "You're not going to be in any trouble now, are you?" So this is the thing, is that whether people want to acknowledge it or not, those game day experiences are different.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is create a community, first and foremost, for women. Like, we've got this WhatsApp group chat, man. Like, already I've had to mute it and archive it. I'm like, you women are so excited. Like, the chats pop in, like, there's all these conversations around like the men's team and men's football and stuff. And so we're creating that community so that women can travel to games together. They can hopefully try and get tickets together. That's one of the things we want to try and work with the club on. Like, can we get some sections in the ground that are like safe sections? So that women who travel alone don't have to sit alone. Also things like watch parties. We're really excited to try and like create some of those, but also to work with other clubs up and down the country and to help them kind of eradicate that sort of misogyny and sexism that exists.
Is it working with other clubs or other clubs, supporters clubs? Is that what you meant? Sorry.
Yeah, but sometimes clubs don't have those supporters groups in place.
Right.
So because we are an official supporters association, what that means is like we have access to the board at Tottenham Hotspur.
Nice.
So and also we're backed by the board. So we haven't just sprung up, like they've endorsed it. But what that means is we then can have conversations with other Premier League clubs, for example, and be like, we're not the first group to do this, but we're doing it in a high profile way so that if other Premier League clubs don't have these things in place, but they've got a group of women maybe that want to do it, we're more than happy to have those conversations.
Nice. Excellent. All right. My next question is, so it started with 7 of you. Can you put a round figure of the size of you guys now?
Gosh, it's definitely over 500.
Boom.
Fact, it might be over 600 actually. Like, yeah, be in that number. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be in that number. So, and bearing in mind, we've only opened membership up to women or non-binary people. Like, if you're a man at this moment in time, you cannot be a member of Women of the Lane. You can absolutely support us on social media and tell your friends to, tell your friend to tell a friend. But we've done that again, first and foremost for safety. Because we've seen similar groups infiltrated in the past, and then men are it's just a foolishness. And like, can you imagine if women are trying to meet up before a game and then you turn up and it's a man?
And then here comes dudes. Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say, you see, with so they got the gay Spurs supporters club, and then you got the women's one. Are you allowed to be in both, swap members?
100%, 100%. So I also I'm a committee member. So I didn't found this group, but I'm a committee member of Spurs Reach, and the Reach stands for Race, Ethnicity, and Cultural Heritage.
Nice.
And I'm the like community liaison officer on that committee, and I still like coexist on the Women of the Lane committee as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you can be a member of all of it. It's just if it's Women of the Lane at this moment in time, you can only be a member if you're a woman or you identify as a woman.
Cool. All right. Next question is, the Women of the Lane first promoted in stadium at the Luton game, 30th of March. You won 2-1. But how was the group? How was it for the group, and how did you feel you were received by your fellow supporters?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, when I got to go pitch side, I was like, I feel like Tottenham Hotspur have completed it.
Yeah,
right?
you done.
Like,
it's all done. I coached there, and now I'm here. Just go own it, Levy.
I'm ready for the conversation. Yeah, no, it like dream come true. It was a dream come true. It was nice to be. So we did like a pre-match interview. So obviously around that time, like lots of people are still like they're basically drinking. So they're not like, so there were like, the stadium wasn't full, but there were still a lot of people in the stadium, and like obviously we were on the big screens and everything. And it was just great. Like, not all of us could make that day either, but for those of us that were available, it was just a really lovely experience and opportunity to kind of help everyone understand what we're about and try and promote it a bit more. And then I don't want to preempt any other questions, but we were then in the most recent game, the next home game, we were in the match day program. So There's a little bit on us in the program as well.
Lovely. Okay, next question. The Women of the Lane, who came up with that name, and what were the ones that didn't make the cut?
Oh gosh, I have to check with my lawyers, No, you know what? Women of the Lane was one of the very early. It was almost like a bit of a joke idea, but it was one of the maybe that. What it was, when you work. I've got to be careful how I phrase it. When you work officially with a football club, Like all football clubs are very careful about their brand. Yeah. So
Yep.
when you do something like this, it has to be agreed by the club. And ultimately, Women of the Lane was the name that Tottenham Hotspur board was most comfortable with and most happy with. What they were concerned about, which I think is a valid concern, was that they didn't want there to be any confusion about Spurs Women, the actual team.
Okay.
So there was a thing around because I think our first name did have like Spurs and Women in it.
Okay, right.
And so or Tottenham Women or something like that in it. And the board was just a bit like, but then they might think it's about this, and we're actually trying to make it about this. So Women of the Lane, and also the lane was I know you're Arsenal fan, but like for Spurs fans, like that stadium will always be White Hart Lane. Like that.
No, yeah, that's what I think. That's what everyone calls it. When I'm seeing the pundits talk, they're like, "It's White Hart Lane, right?"
Yeah. Like one day it'll probably be like the Google Dome or something, but it will always be White Hart Lane. And so it was really important to us that, like, because not that we felt we had to prove this, but in a way that's what we're trying to say. Like, we are Tottenham Hotspur fans. We've been fans of this club before the women's team even existed. Right. So we're about celebrating the Tottenham Hotspur that we know and that we were brought up on. So yeah, that's there were a few other suggestions. I actually can't remember now off my head. I remember at one point we did think about Seven Sisters, but then we were just like,
there's gonna be more sisters.
Yeah, and then so yeah, Women of the Lane.
Lovely. All right, we've got 2 more in this section. Does the group go to every game, just home games, or are you guys willing to go like pre-season trips?
Yeah, so this is really what we mean, is that like we're trying to build this community so that it doesn't, the founders don't always have to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like
right.
We just happen to be the 7 that started it.
But
it's not about us. It's about the whole community. So we would love it if like 10 of them decided to do a trip like out to Australia or whatever.
Yeah.
and like, yes, send us all the content. Do you know what I mean? We'll get that all over social media. Like, that's amazing. So I really hope that those things start to evolve. And so some of the members, in terms of the co-founders and also just the wider membership, are season ticket holders. Myself, for example, I'm not, so I'm definitely not at every game. But like I said, that's why that building of that community is so important, because then they can start messaging each other.
Right.
They don't need us to initiate those meetups.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Because it's in the early stages now, we will obviously absolutely do that. But what we're hoping is that it just evolves naturally and it creates all these little like sort of mini communities, I guess.
Yeah. As you're talking now, I'm thinking like, is the plan for like Women of the Lane USA, Women of the Lane Down Under?
Well, so it's funny you say that, but our membership already is worldwide.
Is
nice. Global.
Nice.
Like there's and because Spurs have got a massive American following, it's nuts. Like, I saw this video the other day on Instagram from like Nashville.
Tennessee.
They're like, come on, Spurs. And it's like, because you know the trumpet that goes at the beginning now, they're all like stats. They're obviously all watching a screen. And they're just like in awe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's mad. That's like all the way in Tennessee.
Goes far, in it. Football's crazy. All right, last question in this block is, what do you think are the most important qualities of a successful supporters group?
Ooh. So I think, like I said, it's like, it's not about any one individual. It's like, we'll sometimes be the spokesperson and we'll be representing those voices.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about us as individuals. It's about listening to that community and getting a consensus and making sure you represent them in the best way possible. So I think that's what's really important about it, is that sense of community and trying to create it so that it becomes self-sufficient. Because obviously we're all just volunteers. Like, none of us are being paid to do this. We just decided to do it because some of the stuff that I saw, because like I said to you earlier, haters gonna hate, right? So some of the stuff that I saw in the early days on social media was like, oh, I wish I'd been asked to do this. And it was like, well, no one asked that. Like, Daniel Levy wasn't like, ladies.
And it, you.
I've had an idea. Like, we came up with it. We put the hours in. We put the we pitched the club basically, and we made it happen. So, but equally, it's not like those women that are saying stuff like that, like, come and be in this number. Like,
I was about to say, everyone wants to be the boss, innit? That's what they think.
Yeah.
They want to be one of the seven sisters.
And then they think that as well. Like I said, we're not getting paid to do it. So like B, like Bavna, but B, she's like 8, nearly 9 months pregnant at the moment. And bless her, she's on Instagram like trying to get all this content on and stuff. And it's like we're just trying to represent you lot at the moment, but it isn't about us, it's about the collective.
Cool. Yeah, there's always going to be haters, man. Terrible. Even in-house, you wouldn't think that, would you? You'd be like, nah, everyone, at least us lot are going to support us.
Yeah.
And then here comes that. All right, cool. All right, next up, we've got a game to play. Start, bench, sell. Let's go.
Every moment is a victory. Welcome to Grassroots Gazette, from the ground up, where football's journey begins.
Okay, so I've got 16 of these. It's a bit mixed up. I've got WSL, Premier League, and some just Spurs. Here we go. So first up, we got Katie McCabe, Maya Letitia, Lauren James. Keep saying her name wrong.
Lauren James, start.
She starts.
I've got feelings about Katie McCabe.
I love Katie, go on. But this is your interview. You say what you got to say.
Don't get me wrong. I think she's a baller, but I'm not always convinced by her attitude. So as a coach, right, I don't know. I'd either see her as a challenge where I'd be like, yeah, let me try and coach you. Well, I might want to sell her. I don't know. Who was the other player, sorry?
Maya Letitia.
Letitia, yeah. You know what? I'd keep Katie as the challenge.
As the challenge. Cool.
And then
so she's on the bench,
I'll bench her though, so she's recognised.
Katie,
None of this foolishness. And then I'd Maya.
Sell Letitia. All right, next up we got Bellingham, Rice, Madison.
Jude, man. Like, Madison, don't get it twisted.
I know where your heart is, but come on.
Literally, like, Jude, start. Oh, Rice is a good player, but
thank you. This is it.
You know what? I'm not. This is a tough. All the Spurs fans watching this are like, Ali. All the Arsenal fans are like, see. Because based on recent form as well.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
No, but I can't. What if I meet James Madison one day and he sees this? I'll be like, don't watch that interview.
Go on, you can protect yourself. Go on, do it.
I'd obviously start Jude. I would. I'm gonna be brave. I would bench Rice and I'd sell Madders.
Respect that, man. I respect that. All right, here we go. Number 3. So
we've got England's Madders. Right?
Nice.
Caveat.
Nice. All right, we got Alicia Lehman, Miedemar, and Chloe Kelly.
Ooh. You keep throwing in little Arsenal players. You know what? All I'm going to say is I'm going like national. I'm thinking international fixtures.
Cool.
I would. Miedemar's a baller still, but
if you want to keep that guy off form, my girl's been injured.
Well,
so.
that's what I was thinking. But since the injury as well, like, who's the first player again? Sorry, I know Chloe Kelly.
Alicia Lehman.
Oh, Alicia Lehman. I would start Chloe, and I would bench Alicia, and I would sell Miedemar. And the reason I'd sell Miedemar is because even injured, you get money for her, you know. But she's injured, so sell her out.
All right, cool. Next up, we got Haaland, Kane, and Shearer.
Right, don't even mention Harry Kane's name in my company and expect me not to start this guy. Like, honestly, anyone who knows me is okay. It's actually like sometimes I scare myself with how much I love Harry Kane.
Same.
It's unreal talent, like generational talent, right? And if he played for any other club, well, now he does. But if he had played, if he had, did you see his penalty? Come on. His penalty against you like the other night, like
he sat. I can't find. He sat Ray down. He sat him down. It's ridiculous. I was like, he's gonna blast it. That's what Harry does. He's gonna blast it, and he just tapped that, lad.
So start Harry Kane, obviously. I can't even remember the other names you said because I heard Harry Kane. I was like, heart eye emojis.
It's Haaland, Harry Kane, and Shearer.
Shearer, like Alan Shearer.
Alan in his prime.
But in his
not off the punditry.
On the sofa.
Alan.
I'd start Harry Kane. I would bench. Oh, Shearer in his prime though.
Yeah.
I would bench
Technically,
Shearer.
both of those strikers are going for his record.
I would bench Shearer and I would sell Haaland.
Okay. Fair enough. Number 5. Ella Tooney, Jordan Nobbs, Beth Mead. Meadow. Think England. International.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking about Jordan Nobbs in her prime.
Yeah, boy.
This is a sticky one still. I would start Mead and I would bench Jordan and I would sell Toon. Sorry, Judy.
Cool. Next one. Got Odie in here. So Andy Cole, Jermaine Defoe, Daniel Sturridge.
Andy Cole was a baller. Like
he was a goal
scoring goals for fun. But I can't do it. My boy Jermaine, like I can't. So I would start JD. I would bench. I would start JD and then I'd bring Cole on at like half time. I'd bring Cole on for the second half and I would sell whoever
Daniel Sturridge.
The dancer, Sturridge, yeah?
The dancer. Cool. All right, next up, this one's all Spurs. So we've got Danny Rose, Carl Walker, and Eric Dyer.
Why you're rude.
Hey, he's a buy and starter now.
This is going to be an outtake, isn't it? This is going to be the clip that goes on to Instagram. I would. Sorry, wait. Danny Rose. I know one of them was Eric. What?
And Carl Walker.
Carl Walker.
Yeah.
Ooh. Carl Walker in his prime. You know. I mean, even still now.
Yeah.
Can't we have a race between Walker and Van der Ven?
Ooh.
Van der Ven would do him.
Ooh, yeah. Probably now.
But Carl in his prime and Van der Ven now.
That's a race. Usain Bolt, right? Look out.
Yeah, we need to get AI to just.
Yeah, innit? To do a thing.
Okay, sorry, I'm longing this out.
All right.
I would say I do have a soft spot for Danny Rose though. So yeah, I'd start Danny. I would bench Walker. And Eric can go to Bayern. Deal of the century, mate. Daniel Levy, how rude.
All right, here we go. Leah Williamson, Millie Bright, and Demi Stokes. Demi Stokes plays for City, just in case.
Yeah, no. I was just thinking like Leah Williamson start. Millie Bright, bench, and Demi. Stokes. Sorry, Demi.
All right. Let's test the heart on this one. Ian Walker, Hugh Lloris, or Paul Robinson?
Oh.
Always like to see where Tottenham want to put the World Cup winner.
No, I mean, but also what a servant, Hugo. Like, I feel like he could have just gone anywhere at one point.
Fact.
Which makes you think, what was he getting paid? What were the add-ons? But also he's a family man, innit? His family was settled. So anyway, so Hugo, Walker, or Robinson. Do you remember Robinson's goal as well? I'd go Hugo.
Hugo starts.
And then Ian Walker though. Curtains. If I just dye this now, I've basically got Ian Walker hair. And he had the drip on some of his his
These
kicks
kits.
as
Yeah,
well.
boy. He was there. He was there for those designs.
Yeah, I'd start Hugo. You know what? For the nostalgia, I'd
Take
bench
it.
I'd bench Walker, you know, just for the curtains alone. And then sorry, Robinson. Sorry.
Cool. All right, here we go. Foden, Palmer, or Kobe Maino.
Ooh,
Ooh.
spicy. I think in terms of where they are at now,
Uh-huh.
like Foden, you have to start, and Gareth Southgate, please, in this tournament in the summer. Foden's the boy, okay? Foden, you would start. I don't know that. I haven't seen as much of Mainu. Am I saying it
Yeah,
right?
Maino.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen as much of Mainu as I have of Palmer, so it's difficult for me to assess that. But I would probably bench Palmer and sell Mainu, but only because of
Only because you haven't watched. Yeah,
clearly he has got, he's one to watch for the future, right? For
definitely.
sure.
Yeah,
I mean they all are really, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, here we go. Tevez, Dwight York, and your very own Berbatov.
Ooh. Although I feel like every time I see clips of Berbatov now, he's in a United.
And it like he didn't do nothing for you. That's rude. He was class.
So,
That's why he went there.
You know what? I still reference Berbatov as one of those players that looked like they were doing nothing. But have you tried referencing Berbatov to like a 12-year-old? That's a fast track to feeling old.
I'm telling you, I've done some of these before. When I'm saying the names, they're like, I didn't.
This?
No, who's that? I was like, okay, let's just skip it. I'm like, let's just skip it. I'm old.
It's awkward. Right. So, Dwight York, though, man.
Him and his partner Cole.
Elite, you know. I'm gonna start Dwight, and I'm gonna bench Berbatov just for even putting on that United shirt. I'm gonna sell Tevez.
And you're gonna sell Tevez. Hold on a minute. Did I move that dude? All right. So we got Nicky Barmby.
Oh my god, you're throwing it back. You looked at my age, didn't it? You looked my age up, and you.
I was like, yes. I was like, finally, someone I can yes.
Someone I can relate to.
You get me? God damn it! I was like, yes. I don't have to like keep it in the last 5 years. I was like, yes, I can go back. So we got Nicky Barmby, David Ginola, or I actually didn't put someone down here, so we're gonna have to jump it in. Ooh, Raw Fox.
Ooh, bro. David Ginola with his hair and his watching that man though in motion. That was
David Ginola going down the wing, turning up everybody.
What's the thing of beauty? Like this, the hair, like. Because you know now when Haaland takes his hair out, and everyone's like, and I'm like, no. I beg your pardon.
He ain't got no ads.
David Ginola. Just for the pure sophistication of it, I would start Ginola. I would bench. Wait, who is it? Fox and who?
Fox and Nicky Barmby.
Oh, Nicky Barmby, you know, part of that generation.
Yeah, boy.
Part of that class.
Problem.
Yeah, I'd probably I'd probably bench Barmby and I'd sell Raw Fox. Sorry, Raw Fox. I do love you.
Next up, we got Gus Poyet, Jamie Redknapp, and Darren Anderton.
Oh my gosh, you don't know, right? Or maybe you do. Maybe you've really done your research.
Go on, tell me. I don't think. Go on, tell me.
Darren Anderton. I can't even reason it because this sick note, right?
Sick note.
I barely ever even played.
And you know what's crazy? But he was like one of your players, though. That was weird. That's what's weird to me.
He's an absolute ball. He was a baller, and like he really epitomized that like if only player.
Yeah.
Because
if only.
He even had moments for England where I was like, he could have won us a whole tournament with that goal. He could have won it, but he didn't score it. So, like, there were just so many. I feel like his whole career was like, if only he hadn't been injured then, and if only did. But what I was going to say, I was obsessed by him when I was growing. I had posters all. My bedroom wall was Darren, and like,
Same.
it's not like he wasn't David Ginola, do you know what I mean? But just for his pure footballing talent, there was something about I was mesmerised by. There's certain players that when you watch them on the ball, even though he was a bit like unorthodox at times. He was a bit gangly, wasn't he? He was like he wasn't tall like Peter Crouch, but he reminded me of Crouchy a little bit in terms of
like he had height. Yeah.
Like it just felt like there were too many elbows and stuff. Like but he also the ball at his feet. If you just watch the ball at his feet, there was a grace there that. So sorry, and pretty long in this out. So you can just edit. So it was Anderton,
Jamie Redknapp, and Gus Poyet.
Gus Poyet. You know, I have to start Anderton because I was obsessed with him.
Cool.
And then
he's on the bench.
That's tricky between those two.
Yeah, I think I got these three names off your captain's list. So Jamie was a captain and Gus was a captain.
Because Jamie again was another player who was like, I don't know that we ever saw him for a sustained period, like peak. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like he got there and then he'd get injured, or he got there and then something would happen, and just
one of them.
I think I'd probably bench Gus, you know, and then sell Jamie, which is probably a bit controversial, but I said what I said.
I said what I said. All right. Got three more. Here we go. So number 14 is Darren Bent, Peter Crouch, and Robbie Keane. That's right. Keane. Yes. Not Kane.
Robbie Keane.
Keane. Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane, man. Like, just for the goal celebration alone, that cracked me up every time. And watch him try and do it now in his like 50s or whatever. And I'm like, bruh.
You won't get to that bit. Just on the floor.
Robbie Keane, I would start. Darren Bent, and do you see how bad my memory is? It's because you say one player and then I go off.
And then you go off. Yeah, it's all right.
Peter Crouch. Yeah, I'd start Keane, I would bench Crouch, and I would sell Darren Bent.
Okay, here we go. Bale, Hazard, Salah.
Ooh, I would start Bale, Gareth Bale. My guy.
Your guy.
Salah though, man, with the stats.
I was going to say, I didn't think he was going to pick Hazard anyway. He ruined way too many games.
No, I know, but Hazard is
class. Or at least he was class at Chelsea anyway.
Yeah, like the tech.
Yeah.
Techie. But I just think Salah not that it's all about goals. But you can't, like, you know, when someone's got a certain like stats behind them, you're like,
what can you do?
My hands are tied. So I'd bench Salah and sell Hazard.
Hazard, lovely. All right, last one. Mary Earps, Zinsberger, or Berger?
Ooh. I'd have to start
tall as well.
Right. I'd have to start Mary Earps just because she cracks me up. Like, have you ever just watched her? Like,
yes, I have. I find this a love-hate thing. Like, I want her to come to Arsenal this season. As in, at the end of the season, I'd like her to be the goalkeeper. I think she's like one of the best goalkeepers. But it's like she's like what's his name? Martinez at the World Cup final and doing extra stuff. I'm like, calm down a little bit.
Right.
A little bit. But that's her. That's her being her. So I can't argue about it.
Like Joe Hart in the Tunnel vibes. Do you remember? That's ruled out half your viewership here. Who are like, but the real ones know. Okay. But the reason. So what I was just really quickly on goalkeepers. Goalkeepers for me, the best goalkeepers are 50% brave and 50% batshit crazy. Like, like you don't
That's why they got their own union. Yeah, they're by themselves.
Because you kind of have to be, because it's such a bizarre and unique position. So I kind of I know exactly what you mean. And if I coached her, I think I'd be a bit like, Mary. But I don't coach her, and I just have the joy of watching her. And for that alone, like, don't get me wrong, very technically gifted goalkeeper as well. But just for the bants alone, I would start her just to see what she was going to do. And then who was it? Sorry, Zinsberger and Berger.
And then Berger.
And then I'd bench Berger and I'd sell
Zins. Okay, that was the last one. In that one, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Who's Got the Balls podcast. Let's get it.
Tells a story, and every goal ignites a community. Welcome to Grassroots Gazette, from the ground up, where football finds its voice.
Okay, I think you already answered the first question already, but still going to ask it. Who is your co-host, and has she always been the co-host? Is it just you and her always?
Yes. So my co-host is Steph Fairbairn, and you made me say her name twice as well. So like, I really hope I got the surname right. She'll let me know. She'll let me know if I didn't. And it has always been us. It was her idea. It was her idea to have a podcast. So I owe it all to her, because I wouldn't be a podcast host if it wasn't for her. So she works on a football magazine as her job. She's an editor-in-chief, and her she does a bit of podcasting as part of that. And she was like, I kind of want to do like a fun one though, like, because you know when you work for a company and you have to do things like in the house style, like, and she interviews some like names in the game, you know, like it's like pro ballers and like WSL and all of that. So she was like, I kind of just want to talk about like the grassroots, like what is it like to actually coach this game. And what we felt was that there's lots of brilliant female-led podcasts about football out there, but most of them, I think, are analysing the game and usually the professional game.
Yeah.
Whether it's women talking about men's football or women talking about women's football, they're talking about the players and the game. And we know what it's like to coach it, and so we were like, I don't know that there's that many female-led podcast talking about coaching football.
Yeah.
So we were like, come on then. And then we called it Who's Got the Balls, which is obviously a very playful take on if you've ever turned up to a session and you thought the equipment was being provided. And
wrong.
it was not. And then you have to borrow one football of a team that's training nearby. That has happened to me, real story. But also, obviously, we are two women, and we work in a very male-dominated space. And sometimes it takes metaphorical kind of balls to hold your own and survive it sometimes, but also try and enjoy and thrive in it as well. And so it is a really light-hearted, like, we delve into some deep stuff, but our vibe overall is quite light-hearted, and we're both quite jokey individuals. So it's just two mates having a chat, basically.
Yeah, lovely. I was going to say, how long, you already said why you started it. So how long have you been doing this now?
So it's still very much in its infancy. Like, there's only one season out so far. We recorded it last year, and we launched it last year. So all of the episodes, so it was 8 episodes and then a bonus episode, because we felt we had to speak on the World Cup after the World Cup took place, especially what happened with some of the non-football activities that happened at that final. So there's 9 episodes in total, and we're really proud of them. Like, we're really proud of it as like a piece of work. We very much want to record a second season, but both of us since then have been very busy doing lots of things. So we're just kind of, this year we need to sit down and think about carving out time to do it, basically. And that's when we made a very conscious sort of editorial decision for the first season to just be the two of us, so that we could establish our kind of vibe and our tone, and get our followers to kind of understand that that's what it was about.
What we're doing. Yeah.
And then what we hope to do with the second season is to invite guests on, and get a mixture of like women and men who have coached at different levels of the game, to sort of discuss their experiences.
Lovely. That covered my next question, which was, is it just a convo between you two, or do you invite guests? So that's going to be the next season development. Excellent. Is the pod for females about female coaching only?
No, not at all. So I'd say our primary audience is female coaches. But actually, we've had some wonderful messages from women and men, women who don't coach football at all, but just love listening to us because
Yeah.
they just enjoy the conversation. And the thing is, a lot of the things that we talk about are related to football, but it's just also the experience of being a woman. So lots of women enjoy listening to it anyway, but lots of men have found it really useful because they might coach with a woman, and so that's really helped educate them on how she might feel in certain situations, and or also men who coach female players. They found it really useful as well. So yeah, it's like whoever wants to, you can listen to it or watch it or both. But whoever wants to do that, like, is more than welcome.
Lovely. Okay. Who would be a great guest for you that you'd love to have on the pod? Give me one famous and one non-famous.
Non-famous, I'd probably go with Sab, actually, who I shouted out earlier as a coach, Sabia Jamal. And then famous. Ooh.
I'm guessing you'd want to go with coach than a player for this particular pod.
Yeah, we'd want to go with a coach, but also I'm trying to think, because the thing is, like, although I have coached in academies, a lot of what we talk about is, and we do touch on that, because I think people also think that all of that foolishness stops when you're in an academy.
Yeah.
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, it is, when we say famous, if I got someone famous on, I'd want them to talk about when they first started coaching, because I want the listener to be able to relate to that grassroots aspect of it.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to, like, say you got Pep on, just as an example. I wouldn't want to hear about Man City.
Right.
I'd want to hear about what was the most rubbish session he ever delivered.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, like Barcelona B back then.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. Okay, cool.
But
cool.
yeah, so a famous person. I mean, Emma Hayes would be a great one, but I'd want her to be really honest about it. And because she's so big in the game now, I don't know if she'd be allowed to be.
Yeah. And she's still in it. Yeah.
But in a dream scenario, yeah, like, I think it'd be great to interview Emma.
Lovely. Okay. Could you tell me what your favorite episode is so far?
Yes. It's the episode that we're both most proud of, and it's the episode on mental health.
Okay.
And it was quite a challenging episode to record. And it's raw and it's really honest, and it touches not just on things that we've experienced that have impacted our mental health as coaches, but also how to support the welfare of your players and their mental health. So we felt like it was a really important topic to discuss. But when we finished, sometimes, I mean, you'll have it with this, sometimes you've finished recording and you're like, that's on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, we were really proud of that one.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, because I scanned them. The one that popped out to me was pet peeves. I was like, ooh, I'm going to watch that one. Let's see what's going on with the pet
That
peeves.
is jokes pet peeves, because I get controversial with it.
Cool. All right. So far, how's the feedback for the podcast? Like, any messages? Like, normally people say, oh yeah, I listen to you all the time, or yeah, you're on the way to work, I always listen to you guys, thank you, that type of stuff. You getting any of those feedbacks?
Yeah, we have had some lovely comments come in, and we've actually posted some of them on our Instagram, and used them on our socials. And I think, like, as with anything, like I said, it's in its infancy. So, and I think because we've had a bit of a break now, we will almost need to recharge it a bit to go again. But I think I think we've just been really pleasantly surprised by the different types of people that have listened to it and found it useful. Like, I think that's really nice. Like, some of the messages, like, we wouldn't really put on our socials because they're so private and personal to that individual, but they've like DM'd one of us and said, like, you know, it's that how it has just really helped them through a difficult moment, and it's just because it helped them feel less alone. And I think that was the main thing, is that we wanted to, similar with Women of the Lane, really, like the reason me and Steph wanted to do this, because we wanted to create a community for women who coach football, because we do exist, and but sometimes it can feel very isolating, because you might be the only one in your club, and then so you might not realize that actually there's a whole network of you.
Very true, very true. All right, we've got 3 more questions in this block. This is more of your first season. So when did you record, and when did the episodes drop? Like, was it a weekly thing, monthly thing? And will that change for next season? Have you planned that yet?
Yeah, good question. So when we did the first season, again, we made a conscious decision. We almost recorded them. We recorded all of them before they dropped, except for the bonus episode, which was the World Cup.
Right.
So we actually recorded back to back on the same evening. And because
long days.
because we filmed them, like literally we'll come from after work and then go to this podcast studio, which is the same studio that Peter Crouch records his podcast in.
Is okay.
So we were just like looking out for him, but I think he used one of the bougie suites. I think we were on the economy level, you know. We did 2 back to back once, and we literally, because we film it as well because it's on YouTube, like this. So we literally like changed our tops, because we were like, well, at least let's attempt to make it look like
it's a different day. Yeah,
like sitting here. And actually, we recorded a lot of it over the summer. And it was like proper heat wave vibes as well. We were just like, I was in one of them, because I'm under the desk as well. I literally had denim hot pants on. And I was just like, but I was in like a Spurs shirt or something on top. I was like, I'm not half naked. It's fine. But yeah, so we made that conscious decision to like just record it all, because like I said, we were just trying to get our tone and chat to each other. And what we found, because we'd never done it before either, like in that way, we found that it, like once we got into it, like the content was better, so we thought, let's record. But it was so tiring that we never did that again.
It is
but yeah,
definitely.
but what we had discussed, but again, we need to revisit it and agree on it. But what we had discussed previously is that for the next season, now that we've got a bit of a community, it would be nice to actually record then release, just so that then we can start to answer some of their stuff. Or like we did do that towards one of the episodes at the end, because we'd already released the first ones. But it's nice to get that kind of like listener engagement, isn't it? And if they've got questions, you can answer them. So that's more the vibe we'll go for with the next one.
Lovely. Okay. Where do you see the podcast going? When I say that, I mean podcasts are blowing up these days. So could this be your main thing? If it was to blow up, would you, this is what I'm doing?
So it's, I think in an ideal world, it's not even the podcast, it's the brand of Who's Got the Balls. We would want to take that, and we would love to do coach education. Like, obviously we're not the FA, so we're not going to get accredited or whatever with us. But what we would do is love to do like CPD type events, specifically for female coaches, but actually for any coaches that are working in the women's game. And just take them through any of those topics. That the thing is with the FA is that they're the FA, right? So they have to do things very like by the book and in a corporate way, and they have to be very careful. And sometimes the trade-off with that, because in coaching we always talk about trade-offs, like the trade-off with that is that sometimes you don't always get to the realism, you don't always get to the nitty-gritty, or also people in the room aren't always comfortable to sort of express what they really mean and how they really feel, because it's like the FA.
You're right.
And everyone's trying to like get on their
I know. Yeah.
So I think that's, me and Steph would love to do some kind of like CPD around it. But also it's already given us amazing opportunities. Like we hosted the London FA Grassroots Awards and we were invited to do that because of the dynamic that we've built with Who's Got the Balls. So yeah, I think it's like the podcast, we'd love to keep that going, but it's also we'd love to build around it as well.
Okay.
It's just then real life gets in the way, right? And you've still got to make a living and all of that boring stuff.
Yeah. All right, last question in this block, and we've got one more block after this. Last one is, what other podcasts do you like listening to and watching? You can give me 1 to 3, or if it's just one.
It's so funny though, because I actually don't listen to a lot of sports podcasts, like almost purposely.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Because otherwise then it becomes not because like I've always been like that, even before Who's Got the Balls. Just because then it just becomes your life, and it's just this like obsession and this fixation that already takes up so much of my life, right? So I actually love like comedy. I love listening to comedy. I'm going to shout out a comedian who is a massive Spurs fan, who's called Jake Lambert, and he's a stand-up comedian, but he did a podcast with his mate Jeremy called Make It Better, and they're both stand-up comedians, right? So it's just pure jokes.
Back to back, yeah.
So they would pick a topic, and it could be really mundane of like the working day, like working in an office, and they're like, how would you make it better? And they just have like pure jokes conversation on what they would change and I genuinely, they're not recording it now, and I'm like, guys, can you just do a special episode for me?
just for me.
Or what are you saying? But yeah, so it's kind of stuff like that. There was also this other podcast. I can't remember the time. I think it was something as stupid as, and sorry, I'm going to swear again, but it's the podcast swears. It was like, who shit on the floor at my wedding? And it's this like Australian podcast, and it's like they're pretending to be like sleuths, detectives, and the story is that basically someone went to the bathroom at one point and there was like a human shit on the floor in the middle of in the hotel, but in the middle of the floor, like not in the actual toilet. And it's like, so they're piecing it, and they go back and they speak to all the guests, and they're like, where were you at this time? And it's just pure foolishness, but it's just jokes. So yeah, that gives you an insight into my mind. Like comedy, because I have anxiety, right? So comedy is like my go-to to just help me forget about the stresses of the world and be like, let's just laugh.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, fair enough. I get that. Lovely. Okay. All right. We're going into the last block, which is called Inside the Coach's Mind. I even know why I'm calling it that, because this whole thing is in your head, but we'll be back.
Is an app for grassroots footballers that allows players to track their performance, improve their game and compete with others in the community.
Galacticos app. Download today. Please check out galacticos.com for more developments. Don't forget to network with us. Help us grow.
Okay, first question is, this is going to be coaches' questions again. So what was your greatest strength as a coach? Or what is?
Oh, you'd have to ask my players, right? No. But actually that is probably what was my greatest strength, is that I at least tried to always make it player focused. Like it wasn't, like I say to coaches now, think about your why. Like, why are you running this practice, like this particular session?
Mm-hmm.
And if that answer does not relate back to your players, it's the wrong session. So I was always just trying to be like, what do these players need? And what's the best way to get it to them?
Nice, cool. All right. What is your greatest weakness, or let's call it something that you want to work on as a coach?
It was always my confidence, like my self-belief. And I like now I kind of kick myself for it, because I feel like it did like really hold me back in some environments in particular. Because I would just get so in my head about it, and I just assumed that everyone else knew exactly what they were doing, that they must have this license and they must be doing this and and actually it's all a nonsense. We're all human beings. We all have good days, we all have bad days. Licenses are helpful, but arguably sometimes they are just pieces of paper. Like if you don't go out and deliver, then anyone can have a license, right? So I think that was probably the thing I feel like I wish I'd have had someone who could have helped me with that a bit more, like, but sometimes I think it's just, you have to go through it. And I think if I was coaching now, and never say never, I might start coaching again. But I think if I were to coach again, I'd keep all the good stuff, so you wouldn't see a drastically different coach. But I just know in my own skin, I would just feel so much more comfortable.
Yeah, much respect to that. All right, here we go. Can you give me 3 words to describe yourself?
As a coach,
As a coach.
I mean, it's probably similar to who I am as a person. Because, empathetic, Joker,
nice,
honest.
and honest. Lovely. I like those. Okay, what gets you excited about coaching football?
This is a difficult one because I'm taking a break for a reason, right? No, but you know what? It's always the players, because I even remember those. I remember those sessions where I wasn't even getting paid to be there, and I should have been paid to be there. And I'd have this long day at work, and at the time I was working a very high pressure job, like completely unrelated discipline to sport. And I'd have to be getting public transport to like trek across London, and it'd be cold and it'd be wet. And then you see the players and you're like, this is why I do this.
This is why I'm here. Yes.
This is why I do this. So yeah, I can't even remember what the question was now, but that's what my favorite.
You the most excited. Yeah, that's what gets you excited about football. Cool. All right, so we go the other way. What gets you unexcited, or what made you take that break?
So when it's cold and it's wet. I don't think football coaches get enough respect. Like it's a skilled profession. Like anyone can go out and try and do it, but to do it properly, it takes a skill set, and it takes discipline, and it takes needing to, like, it's constant growth and constant learning, and the courage to put yourself out there, even if it's a group of 11-year-olds. Like that still takes courage to be like, because actually kids will tell you, like adults might try and have some sort of like social skills to be like, oh, I think she's forgotten the next bit of this session. They're not gonna like go over and tell their dad. Like, you know, so I think
kids, they're honest, isn't it? Tell you straight. That's crazy.
So I think it takes a courage that maybe not all people realize. If you're going to do it properly, you've got to be brave and prepared to make mistakes, right, and learn from them. And I think what was the question?
I was going to say, I can see you guys. So basically, I think your answer was the lack of respect for coaches is what unexcites you about football. So
I think it can become a bit of a grind.
Okay.
And I don't think the pay always reflects the level of expertise that is required sometimes. And I'm not money motivated, but also know your value. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that sometimes it can, but that's why I took a break, right? Because if you're starting to feel like that, then it's time to step away. And it doesn't mean you step away forever if you don't want to, but equally, like, recognize that within yourself.
I understand that. All right, here we go. When you are nowhere near a football pitch, what can you be found doing?
I'm a bit of a geek, so I actually studied film at university, so nothing to do with sport, although everything to do with analysis, right? So there's method in the madness.
Yeah, there's method. I like that.
So I'm either watching films, I love reading, and actually ever since I stopped coaching, I especially love reading fiction, because I spent so long as an academic, like when I was studying at university and everything, and then I went into football coaching. Like I'm always learning, I'm always looking for something to learn about, basically. But I spent so long reading non-fiction to be like, how to do this.
Yeah.
But now that I don't have to at the moment, I'm like, let's read this foolish story that someone has just made up in their head. So and otherwise I'm still reading. But also I'm still just watching sport, right? Like I love it's an Olympic year, right? And I love it when the Olympics is on, because then you're like, oh yeah, think there is a world beyond football.
There's other things going on.
It's still sport, but there's a world beyond football. So yeah, that's made me sound really sad. But like, I'm an old woman, yeah, so you won't see me out raving and
Sadly.
like
In the club. Yeah,
it would be an embarrassment for everyone. Because like, no one would. That's not a good time for anyone, is it? Like, I'm 41. Like, who have you come to collect? Who's the designated driver?
That's what I'm saying. Come to let my door up in there. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, it's more the weddings now.
Yeah,
That's it. Cool. All right. What is the best compliment you've gotten about your coaching from player or other coaches?
When I was doing my B license, I was asked to get feedback from the group that I was coaching at the time.
Nice.
And I recorded it. And this player, like, I had literally had the cab. They were all sitting on the floor. It was after their session, and and they're thinking, "I just want to go home. What are you talking about?" And they were all sitting there, and I was filming them. And this one player, she was like, "You understand us." And like that to me, that's when I'm like, job done.
Yeah, job done. Blow the whistle. Retiring. I'm good.
Yeah, because that's that engaged part, right?
Yeah.
So I can't educate you until I can engage you. And if you think that I understand you to the point where, because that means I care.
Ticking all the boxes.
It takes care to understand.
That's right.
So if you've actually felt that, like that's translated to you and you felt it. Perfect, because now we can build and all the other stuff, like all the technical stuff of teaching you football, like, because once I've got you,
then I've got you. Yeah,
that's just steps that we can now take. But that first bit is the hardest bit. So yeah, that's probably the best thing anyone's ever said to me.
That you understand me. Us. Yeah, I like that. And it's like us, not even me. You understand us. So bam, that's the whole team. Yeah, that was nice. All right, go left a little bit. What is your favorite curse word? Go on.
I mean, bearing in mind that I spent my career mostly coaching children, this is an odd question to ask me, but I like it. I'm laughing because the people who know me know what my favorite curse word is, but it's not a word for everyone, so I'm not going to say it on this podcast.
What's the letter? What's the letter? Is it
yeah. And also as a woman as well, like that is controversial.
Yeah. See, that's the go-to.
But I think there's a power in that word, and that's why I like it. So anyway, but I have a lot of time for the F word as well, because it's very versatile.
Oh yeah,
it's a very versatile word.
Oh yeah,
the F word. So yeah. See how I'm doing it without swearing, because I'm like, oh, I'm scared now. This is being recorded.
No, that's cool. We got it anyway, but you didn't have to say it. Lovely. All right, here we go. We got 3 more here. What profession other than your own as a coach would you like to attempt?
Ooh. I'm trying to proper like blue sky it as well.
Yeah, let's do this.
You can do anything in the world. I think I'd want to. You know what? The foolish thing that just popped into my head was skydive instructor. And I don't...
Have you skydived before?
No. I'm actually
to the top. I'm teaching.
I'm actually a little bit scared of heights. So, but I have always wanted to do a skydive, but not like across Kent. I want to do it in like New Zealand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
beautiful. Yeah.
But what I was thinking was, would you then want to do that repeatedly with people that are like, oh, I'm gonna shit myself? So actually, no, strike that. But what would I? Oh, I don't know. I'd have to.
Okay, I'll let you think about that one. Or if you don't know, you don't know. But we're gonna go the opposite way. What profession would you want to stay away from? Like, no way am I doing that.
I'm not like finance, like taxes, anything to do with numbers and spreadsheets. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. You know what I would quite like to do actually? I would quite like to do something like it. Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be television, because it's not about like the cameras and the fame or anything like that. But like, I love talking to people like this. Yeah. So like presenting something, but like where you get to like maybe like a chat show. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to be a chat show host.
Chat show host. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Last question. What one thing, and we can change this tomorrow and it's law, one thing that you'd like to change about the football industry go. One thing. And we make that happen. No money. Money doesn't matter. Planning doesn't matter. What you want to do?
I'd change. Well, there's two. The corruption, right? Like, because at the highest levels, there's disgusting corruption.
Yeah.
So if I could just like get rid of that, that'd be great. But potentially more realistically,
Yeah, exactly.
although who knows, right? Is that I think we've got it twisted in the credit and like financial, but also just recognition in terms of the way the coaching pathway works and the fact that we give the youngest players to untrained volunteers. That to me is a nonsense.
Okay.
Because if you don't coach these kids properly with care, they're not going to come back. And if they don't come back, there are no elite players of tomorrow.
That's right.
Facts. So I think we need to switch up like how we recognize that workforce so that it is skilled, because otherwise, unfortunately, you end up with lots of people who probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I hear that. Definitely. All right. That is the end of that. I normally leave you on screen so you can promote anything that you want to promote. Would you like a little time for that?
Oh gosh. Well, I feel like we've covered all my stuff that I do. So like we've done Women of the Lane, we've done Who's Got the Balls. Like you've done me solid there. So
lovely. Well, Ali, pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me today on the Grassroots Gazette. It was amazing. Thank you very much. Hopefully
thank you so much.
Talk again, but you was amazing. Thank you. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe. Get me? Make sure you follow Ali C. It's been on screen all the time. Follow her movements, and we will see you on the next one. Stay good, stay blessed. We out.
Joining us on Grassroots Gazette. From the ground up, remember, the spirit of football lives within us all. Until next time, keep the passion alive and the dreams soaring. This has been Grassroots Gazette. From the ground up.